Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today. Welcome to episode 289 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. Today, I'm joined by, you know what? It's been a quiet week. I don't know if I got a joke for you. I really don't. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. I'm just joined by Lord Cognito, the man, the myth, the legend. Cog, how are you doing today, sir?
The toothless Lord Cognito. We got our fronts. But yeah, I was telling you before, like a little Dave Dash situation happened to me. For people who follow Dave Dash and hip hop, you know what I'm saying? One of the funniest jokes is he was beefing with 50 Cent and his teeth came out and he had like the fillings or whatever, the dentures or whatever he had. So that was a running joke. So yeah, like maybe about 2 weeks ago, I was telling you the story, which is like, I was dinner with a friend and was eating something. And then I was just like, oh, I know my back tooth ain't just roll out.
So eating. I didn't ask you that when you told us.
It was at PF Chang's. It wasn't even nothing crazy. It was like, I had like chicken teriyaki, lo mein, little lettuce wraps. Yeah, like it wasn't nothing.
You were like chewing on a mint or something.
Yeah, like I had like ribs or some oxtail or something crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like it was nothing. I was just like, so apparently, like, yeah, half of my tooth in the top, the rear of your tooth, the back of my mouth, the one, the second before the laugh on the end, on the top side, it just got like impacted, I guess, like cracked because half is there, but the other half broke down. So I said, yeah, let's go check this out. So yeah, that's what the whole drama today. And when I saw my dentist, he was like, yo, you're not in mad pain? And I was like, not really. Only when I, drink something cold or something like that. He's like, oh, we got to get you an oral surgery, oral surgeon and all this. So that's just dealing with all that stuff and insurance.
Fun.
Yeah, that's my health as well story.
I gave you my unk energy through the ether. You know, I had it last week. You took it all back, though, it seems.
Bro, all the way. All the way back. So yeah, this week is all about the health as well, medical appointments and getting stuff done. So yeah, that's been a journey. But what's been going on with you, man?
Let's see here. Health is wealth wise, doing okay. You know, back issues are fading. I tried to do it the old natural way, but had to hit up the chiropractor and was like, yo, dude, like, I've never had an injury like this. Cause it's like the thing keep saying to him, bro, this guy's a fucking broken record. I've seen him like 3 times. I'll explain why. But he, like, every time I'm there, I'm like, yeah, dude, just like, I didn't do anything. And it just tweaked, I guess. And he just laughs every time, partially because I'm probably like boring this guy to death. But the other part of it's probably like, yeah, dude, you're getting a little, just a little older, you know?
There you go.
But yeah, dude, this is like some type of a deep muscle tweak of some kind. I say that because like he had to bust out the ultrasound therapy on me.
Oh.
Yeah, like, when I go I've been to the chiropractor plenty of times, and like, usually it's neck area because I'm trying to work on the postures. I'll get into my solution to all of this in a moment here. I'm trying to work on the posture, but sometimes with like always being at the keyboard and the mouse, like these upper kind of neck, shoulder muscles get tense and then I get stiff, and he just helps me out with that. Before any adjustments are made though, they used kind of that compress with a little bit of warm heat, put the TENS unit down to kind of like relax the muscles, shock the muscles. And so we did that. And then after that, he used that kind of ultrasound therapy around the muscle. It's called I'm going to butcher the name. He defined it like a piece of flank steak.
Okay.
Which is funny with everything that I said about Fleming's. Here comes my steak, and it's looking a little raw here. Now, I think it's like the quadrilateral. I don't know. Quadrilateral. I don't know, dude. But like basically beneath your rib cage, above your hips, like that gap there.
There you go.
That on the right side is where I was like, yo, doc, when I twist, like,
yeah,
I feel a pull, and I've never felt a pull there before, and I can feel it's connected to my back. And so when he did the ultra timing, bro, like, it was the first time when I sat in the car, like I was describing to you last week, like when I twisted, I was like, yeah, I feel it. But now
Yeah.
it's like, oh, full rotation.
Oh, we got the full rotation.
Back,
We
bro, I
action
can
figure,
pivot.
baby.
Like,
Let's go.
come on now. So,
let's get it.
Yeah, but dude, it's like I was there today. Like it's been 3 sessions of this where we've had to like work the muscle. I've had to stretch every day, and so the thing is like, okay, I'll get over this. My takeaway though, 2 things I need to do. 1, stretch every day. That's just been, I've done it decently, but like it's clear, like non-negotiable. Every day you must stretch. I'm in this chair a lot. I always like to feel nice and nimble. Let's get our stretching every day. 2, it's time to hit the fucking weights, dude. Oh my God.
I mean,
that this is some, yeah, bro. I mean, I don't think I'll ever be like you, but I'm saying like I got some weak dude energy right now. Like I had to have tweaked. I had, like, again, I don't know, but I had to have tweaked by lifting groceries into the car. And that's the most unbelievable, or lifting my suitcase into the car, and that was the start of it.
Awkward movement.
Reactive, just, and I know freak things happen. Maddie, I had people in the comments saying, I saw a great one. Someone said I had like stolen valor and that it gets worse in the 40s. I'm like, bro, I said, come on now. I'm not trying to take it away from you guys. Just let me share in the pool of misery. But it's clear I need to start building muscle again. It's been a war for me though, because my issue has been, I mean, when I hurt myself, you remember, because I missed Duke for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I remember.
That was the worst injury I've ever had. Physically speaking. And I remember when that happened, I mean, the way I was immobilized, I've had to be very careful with working out since then.
Yes.
Like the hinging workouts of my lower back, that it reactivates.
Yeah.
And so it's clear I need to build muscle around the core, back area, upper back, lower back, but I need to be like precise about what I do. It's been a little nerve-wracking because I again, it's clear I need to start building muscle, especially I was talking about posture. I don't want to get like tech neck or anything.
Yeah,
I want to like
tech neck and
like I don't want any of these issues. So before it gets out of hand, I need to jump on this. And it's something I've been attentive to in the past. And if I didn't hurt my lower back, I feel like I'd be in a completely different spot now. Which is a little bit frustrating, but I've been trying to dance around it for a while, and I eventually just got to go through it, which is like, I've been doing the walking, I've been doing things that are within the comfort zone, but it's clear like I need to do my research. I need to talk to people. I need to do a very precise plan to basically surround these weak areas with muscle to keep things in place.
Absolutely.
And I've always been form overweight kind of guy, like, every time since I even first started when I was 18, but I miss it, but it's obvious I need it. That's the thing, is like in all of this, it's like, this is a ridiculous injury, but I needed to humiliate myself in order to get over it.
This injury, bro.
I am, bro. I literally, because I've hurt myself before, but like, again, when I hurt my lower back, I had no problem telling anyone, because I was like, dude, I was fucking lifting. I was like, I was like, bro, I looked great. Like everything was, but now it's like, oh, how'd you do that, bro? It's like you should have seen the other guy kind of. Like that's where I feel I'm at right now.
Got you.
So I don't have a massive ego, but there's a level of like pride where it's like, you know what, dude, fuck that. Like I should be her on this level. That's not right.
This shouldn't be the thing that takes me out.
Yeah, exactly. Like you gotta do way more to take me out. Like this is just come on. I'm on my Vegeta shit right now. You gotta do more than that.
Listen, if it makes you feel better with my dentist, bro, I was so on top of the dentist. I've been going so consistent, right? I did a deep cleaning maybe like 6 months ago. They was like, they're going to do the other side. Back then, he said, oh yeah, you just had like this little cavity. We'll take care of that. So again, just to correlate, it's just like sometimes you do your thing and things, just freak things do happen. Because this little half back impacted tooth, I'm like, how did this happen? Like, we've prepared for this. Like this is not so good. Yeah, but I told you, 40 plus and up, this all goes down. It's all about things out of order, maintenance, and all that. So now you in the 30s. You know,
you were calling it what, replacing parts? Yeah,
that's replacing parts, baby.
That's I don't know, man. It's not right. We got to figure this out. Like, we really do. This is not.
It could be a freak injury. Like, you could just been very sudden and sharp on the way you just awkwardly moved, you know what I'm saying, kind of thing. But I feel what you say. You like, yo, if I had more of a foundation, you know what I'm saying, or something was the core muscles around it was a little
I don't like
stronger.
this. I've always been ahead of the curve. I don't like being behind it, bro. This is not. I'm definitely due for a midlife crisis for sure. Like,
Yes,
give
yes,
me 10 years. I'm that guy for sure.
bro. You gotta have the best one.
Yeah, yeah. It's just I don't know, bro. I just need to figure this out. So that's my health is wealth update. I'm clearly in muscular peril. We need to find that part out. But otherwise, doing really great in every other
Good,
area.
good.
Like that's mentally, other parts physically doing great. I wanted to go on a walk today, but it's like straight up yellow outside. I don't know. Is it the same deal
Yeah.
with you from
For
the
us, we just
wildfire?
I felt like, yeah, it's like yellow that we got a little rain. It's been a little weird.
Oh, okay. Yeah. For
Mm,
us, it's like straight up haze outside. So it's
mm,
like these are not walking conditions. I'm gonna
nah,
stay inside today.
never.
Um, Nonetheless, we've got others who have health as wealth write-ins, and they have more victories than us. Let's check in first with Shinobi-san. Says,
Alright.
good day, Brother Dukes. A little health is wealth write-in for you. 11 weeks ago, I began my journey to a better and healthier me. While this is significantly cut into my gaming time, I can say all the pain and sweat has been worth it. I've dropped 30 pounds and my gains are coming. At week 4, even I couldn't do a squat, but I'm now working out with 255 pounds on the free weight squats. I'm 45 years old and want to encourage others that it's never too late. Love the podcast, even though I am a lapsed Xbox fan who left in the 360 generation before Gears 3 and never even played that. Whoa.
Wow.
Much love, and may you have a my arms weren't as big as Cog's arms kind of day. Shout out to Shinobi-san.
I
Congrats
like
to
that.
you, brother. It is
Yes,
cutting into the
sir.
gaming time, but it's worth it because now you get to be around to play Gears 3. You
That
otherwise
part.
wouldn't have been able to. So
Yes,
there you
yes, yes.
go.
So I'm back a pat, whenever you want to come through. But salute to
Mhm.
you, man. Love the name and love the fact that you're doing those games, man. You drop to 30 pounds is big though. That's
Huge.
that's probably the biggest part. I know he's happy about the PRs and the
Yeah.
squat. You drop 30 pounds, you living right, bro. So
Yeah.
keep doing your thing, especially on half the battle's diet, bro.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I've been thinking, what is your stance on cutting out sugar? I feel like I flirt with it sometimes, but I love
Mhm.
sugar.
I know, bro. It's too
I've turned
deadly.
into a sweet tooth, man. I'm weak in my age right now, dude. I just like all these convictions I held gone. I used to be
Bro.
Mr. Anti-Sweet, but once I was seeking the little delectable comforts after a long day, one treat turns into 3, into 4, into 5. Just here I am. Here I
Mhm.
am. I love getting a little pint of ice cream
Oh,
sometimes, a little cookie here
dangerous.
and there. Oh, babe, look what I got you. Black and white cookies. It's her favorite. So that I can get a couple,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Like I'm diabolical with it, man.
I know, bro. That was the weakness. I've been very good about it because I'm the same as you. I call it the SNS. For me, it's the sugar and the sodium. You got to be careful. So for
Mm,
me, with the sugar is the same, bro. It's terrible because again, bro, I told you, sweet tooth. My thing is I can eat healthy, but I always gotta have that little side sweet dessert,
I've become that, bro. It's like once I finish the
bro.
meal, it's like the top off. It feels
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Facts. It's like it's not done yet, and then it's like that satiated. So now the tricks have been, I had to eliminate cookies. It
Oh no.
sucked. I love cookies. I love
That's it.
brownies. I love all that. Even bro, I had to eliminate the sorbet and like it's
Oh,
because
man.
what it is you be like, yeah, this is less evil than ice cream. The problem is I'm eating the whole thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what am I really doing? So I had to check myself. And then the other thing too is because now I've been on my green tea, my matcha tea kick in the morning because we're really working on our little, our belly
Yeah.
fat.
Working on the
This vet
digestive
down.
system. Yeah.
Bro, yeah, the digestive system. Green tea is really good. So matcha tea specifically. And
Mm,
what I've been doing, because again, with tea, when you cut out sugar, this is the tough part. Tea's like all plain. You're like, damn, I gotta have something with it. So I did the little stevia, the liquid stevia, just a little squirt. I'm like, give
mhm,
it a little flavor. Now, the other thing I'm working on is cranberry juice is really good for me, but like
mm.
the one that's like, because if you get the ocean spray is cranberry drink
Yeah.
from concentrate. All this half cranberry, half apple. Like, bro, this is not cranberry juice. Where's the real cranberry juice?
Yeah, yeah. Where's my
So
man's fruit juice at? Come on now.
yeah, so I had to find this like very bespoke. I forgot the name. It's really good, bro. If you ever have real cranberry juice, you like,
Oh,
oh my god,
dude.
this.
My
You ever
wife and
had?
I have a juice press, and we'll literally oh, dude, it's a complete night and day difference. There's a freshness to it. It's unbelievable. It's just high effort shit, but it's
Yes.
awesome. It's
Now,
awesome.
It is so good for you, but it is so bitter, even though it's so good, bro.
Mm,
Again, here come my little trick now is just a little splash of the liquid stevia. Boom. All right, I'm good. Now I can have you. And bro, I've cut down the sugar tremendously. I would say the
nice.
last 6 months, I've really been doing a better job. And I'm noticing the difference. So I'm like, you know what? I like this. Like, I see some abs back in there. I mean, we always go ahead
Okay.
that belly, but I see some abs. I'm like, let's go. So and shirts that I could, sometimes shirts you're like, damn, I like it, but the belly
Mm,
so now I'm like, oh, I can start rocking these shirts. When the wardrobe starts to adjust and you can
yeah,
wear older stuff that you
sure,
didn't feel
sure.
comfortable with. Yeah, so that's what I would say to you. So the sugar is going to be tough. Also a trick I would say is the fruit. I would do fruit as
Yeah.
my dessert if you can. Get your little, I don't know if you're cool
Mhm.
with the little slice, cantaloupe, mango,
Oh,
watermelon,
bro, I'm a
pineapple.
fruit fiend. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, bro. I do my little fruit cup. Boom, right there. Or the other trick is do the Chobani, the zero sugar.
Oh,
They
those are
got
good.
one that
Yeah,
actually tastes decent and it doesn't have a
yeah.
lot of sugar. I'll send you the link. Those are about my tricks right now that I've been in. It'll be
Mm,
in that pocket. I know where you're at because I'm the
yeah.
same person and I
It's
had to make
more
adjustments.
the inflammation I read about with it that,
Yeah,
I always think about is like, my weight's all right, but it's more the inflammation that, we experience from sugar from the processed foods. And
bro.
I've never really given it a shot, which, as many people know, always makes me curious. Like, I've tried the vegan diet for a while. I've tried all these things. I would argue going vegan for a while kind of fucked me up because
Yeah.
like just when I went vegan for over a year, the way I came back with like a storm, bro, when I was able to just eat good shit again, I'm like, yo, I love food. I'll never appreciate you guys more than ever right now. Dude, I'm telling y'all, stay away from
Yeah,
the vegan diet.
yeah.
Like I had great food discipline and then I completely starved myself out for a year and I came back with a force, man. Like didn't gain a ton of weight, but like it was definitely discipline took a hit. And I think
I
that's
feel you.
everything. And that's not who I've been. So it's made it a thing that was historically very easy for me. Now
Mhm.
something that's really hard to battle back. So
Absolutely,
just keep
bro. I
that in
get it.
mind.
I get it.
We got another right in here. This one's from Scott Holdsworth. He writes, "Good day, my gentle dukes. I write to you today with a follow up to my Health is Wealth last April, episode 226. To remind you both, I wrote about how losing my brother and more recently my mom and my dog meant that the drink had taken hold of me. However, I was just starting to turn things around by starting back in the gym and completing cognitive behavioral courses to repair my mental health for my wife and my two boys. Well, today I'm happy to report that things are still tracking nicely. I'm cracking all sorts of personal bests at the gym. I left my self-deflating job for one that gives me self-satisfaction in doing gardening for the elderly. And I also welcomed a new family member in the form of a miniature schnauzer, sorry, I completely butchered that, named Betty. The most positive news, however, is I haven't had a drink in over 2 months. And I'm not looking for complete sobriety, but decided to take 3 months off cold turkey to act as a circuit breaker and eliminate some bad habits. In doing so, I discovered plenty of non alcoholic alternatives that help with the midweek craving. Don't get me wrong, I am still tested daily, having myself just gone through a cancer scare with surgery still to come, and my diet's decline from dementia will not get any easier, but I can still see the sun again. An added bonus to not drinking has been the sheer amount of gaming that I've been able to do. So thanks for giving me an outlet to share my voice and to hear others. Blessing to you and yours, Scott. Scott, thank you so much for sharing this, dude.
Killing it.
Absolutely. And yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent of non-alcoholic drinks.
Mhm.
That's one thing I can say I've been consistent with here in this episode. Is when I was in college. I mean, I got my drinking phase in and out
Mhm.
real quick. Like I was like, this is cool.
Mhm.
Had my time in college for like a year, and then like
Mhm.
that was literally it. But I will say the social pressures when you become more of an adult, everyone always has a drink in hand. And I've found that as someone who doesn't really give a shit, I still find it a little bit difficult. So I
Yeah.
can imagine for those who do feel that social pressure even heavily, this might be a temptation. So for those
Mhm.
who do, like non-alcoholic drinks are served in pretty much every place I've been to. And when I'm with my friends who all like to grab a beer and stuff,
Mhm.
I get these non-alcoholic ones, dude. They do provide the flavor and the kind of similar kick feeling
Mhm.
that an alcoholic beverage would. But they're obviously not going to get you buzzed or anything like that. And I just again really do recommend that if anyone's had issues that are like, yeah, this is just like poison for my body or whatever it may be. Non-alcoholic drinks are your friend. You fit right in. Everyone thinks you got a drink in your hand. They don't know any better. It's a great deal, man. So shout out to Scott for the non-alcoholic drink promo there. But otherwise, dude,
Yeah.
glad you're doing much better. Thanks for sharing your story. We
Yeah.
appreciate you, man.
Now, Scott, man, you killing it. That is awesome, and everything obviously you're going through. I like what you're taking care of on the mental side. As far as the alcoholic part, that is definitely albatross for me. But I will say this: in fairness to myself, like I'm really just a social drinker. I don't drink at home. I don't drink.
No.
I'm not like, yo, I'm going out every week and I'm drinking. Like, I'm really not that guy. The problem is people like to drink with me because my tolerance is high. They're like, Carl, oh, you could throw it back. So the drinkers like me because they like, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Sure. Tom Henderson. But shout out to Inside the Game. I love those guys. But yeah, it's funny. So the thing is, what I had to do is I had to make two adjustments. We talked about the sugar. My thing is the trick for me was why I like mixed drinks. Sweet, rum, all that type of stuff. So it's like now it's like, all right, you know what you're going to do? Like, bro, I used to do Long Island iced teas. Like it's nothing. Like you talk about bug, like that's too much. So I'm like, all right, it's like a whole bunch of different drinks and stuff like that. So I've eliminated that. I've eliminated tequila. Again, that's another one. I'm a guy that likes a little Silver Patron. I had to eliminate that. So all the rums, all that stuff. So now the switch now is whiskeys. I'm doing whiskeys. I'm doing bourbons.
Yeah.
I can do vodka, but if I do vodka, it's cranberry juice. So now I'm in that pocket, and it's been 1,000 times better. Like I don't feel like some tremendous hangover or stuff like that the few times that I'm doing it and stuff like that. But yes, to your point, non-alcoholic, man, get yourself, you know what I'm saying, something light, and you
dress your
also
drink up and everything, bro.
Yeah,
it's nice.
you know what I'm saying? I like a little sangria, I will admit though.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A little wine.
Yeah, you seem like a sweet drink guy like me.
I am.
Yeah.
I am. Yeah. My problem is I hate beer, and I know a lot of guys that really like beer. Yeah, I'm not the beer guy. The best I could do is like I think I tried like a Blue Moon. I remember that's what turned me off from drinking young. My grandfather used to he's big drink recipe. And what it is, I was young, and he would always buy like 6 packs of beer, put them in the fridge. So you see movies, you think it's drinking
cog sneaking one out. Yeah,
little young cog sneaking. I was like, ugh. I was like, I'm never drinking this. So I hated alcohol for all the way up almost to my 20s. Even when I was allowed to drink, I was like, I ain't doing that. But then people told me about mixed drinks, and it was over. I was like,
yeah. It's so funny because it was the reverse for me. I tried Mike's Hard Lemonade.
I remember Mike's. Yes, that was one of my first. I like Mike's.
I tried. That was my first, and I was like, whoa, this is awesome. And then I was like, I get it. And then I tried beer for the first time. I was like, oh, this is, I think I remember saying to my friends, I was like, it tastes like piss, dude. Like,
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I was like, how do people like this?
And then froth. I don't like none of that.
Even to this day, I had a drink in actually my first drink in a long while was when I was in Oregon, because like a lot of people were like, the beer is basically like the best food here, like trust us. They're not wrong, like it's a good drink, but even then I was like, I don't know, there's just like this fuzz I get in my head whenever I drink it, and it just doesn't, the flavor isn't worth it. To me it never is. There's good beer, I've had good beer, but it just never, I'm just like I'm all about the feel afterwards. Like I don't like a good meal if I feel super bloated afterwards. Same deal with a drink. I don't like a drink if my head's buzzing afterwards. It just like, it's never worth it to me. I'm like, I'd rather enjoy myself for the rest of the night,
I agree. And shout out to my beer drinkers. There's 2 people I want to shout. Shout out to my man Billy the Brewer, LSM fan, also Lords of Gaming fan. He put me on to something when I went to go visit him, because he actually not too far from my best friend now that's in Virginia Beach. And he's a brewer. So he's like, I know what you talk about, Kyle. He's like, there's like these different ones. He showed me one. I was like, okay, this is actually something I would try, or maybe like a cider, but then I had to cut ciders out because now the ciders are too damn sweet. You know what I'm saying? Kind of thing. But I will say, for the beer drinkers, even though we slandering y'all, the best beer I've ever had, not that I was doing consistently, my only trip to Ireland, I went to Dublin. This is during the meta days.
Oh, of course.
And they were like, you don't want to go? I'm like, hell yeah, nobody ain't going. I was like, this is a free excuse to do a summit out there for me to do a public speaking or about VR. Let's go. I'm like, I'll be there. So I go to Dublin, bro. I'm not going front. So they got the official Guinness brewery joint out there, whatever. So we made it like a trip for the team, and we go out there. And I didn't know that, that's the birthplace or that. And I think Jameson is the other one that's
right,
bro. The Guinness we get in the United States is trash.
Oh, dude.
Like,
I remember people saying that about Heineken. I remember that was like,
bro, I don't know what's going on, if it's the bottling process. I had Guinness and I was like, oh, I get it now. Now I see. It's a huge, from Ireland into Ireland. 1,000 times better. So I will give you guys that, even though I still won't do it consistently. That was probably the best beer I've
Yeah. And all of that was a test for you, Scott. As we went through all of that.
Yes.
Congratulations again, Scott.
Congratulations, for real, Scott. Yeah, for you doing your thing, brother. Keep it up, brother.
Let's transition into the gaming, shall we?
Yes, sir.
First question here comes from Mike Carley. It says, hey, Dukes. The Bethesda changes have been discussed for Fallout, but Elder Scrolls is a tentpole as well. What do you think is in the cards for the superior franchise? Is Skyrim Remastered a foregone conclusion at this point after Fallout 3? Do we get something totally new? What kinds of spin-offs would you like to see? P.S. It's been long enough. Get Jeremy Soule back, please. Cog, I'll let you take the stage on this one.
Yeah.
Right? We're seeing the fallout of the Xbox reset play out this last week. We'll get into a lot of that. What is the future of Elder Scrolls? We're seeing Fallout is being passed around a little bit, but does Elder Scrolls receive a similar treatment, or does it stay at home for the night?
I think Elder Scrolls is just too big right now with everything that's going on, with 6. And I just think if I had to guess, it has to be all hands on deck because we got the Fallout news that in this beautiful timeline now that, we're going to get a Josh Sawyer Fallout, right? It's such an amazing timeline, right? So that to me signals, I'm inferring, Bethesda relinquishing, right, that to now divert all focus because like Maddie eloquently said, it has been too damn long for the next Elder. I did not. When you actually said the years last Duke, I was like, damn, it's been that long.
Yeah, it's tough, bro.
Yeah. So it's got to be, in the Asha Sharma era, all hands on deck. So Bethesda has a singular focus to get this out. And that's what I think. Now, as far as like remastered, I mean, didn't they just do a Switch one? Didn't they just do a Switch?
They did special edition and they ported it to the Switch. So it's the 2016 version. Then they did anniversary edition in 2021 or 2. I can't remember exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And then they ported that to the Switch. And then what came out at the end of last year was the Switch 2 version.
Gotcha.
So no remaster yet. Like
Gotcha.
I think when they say remaster, they're thinking like Oblivion remaster last year. That
like that. Yeah.
For Skyrim. Yeah.
I would defer to you on that. I mean, do you think based on obviously the community and the feeling, and I remember there was like mods, was it Sky Oblivion and all this other stuff? Like, I don't know. You tell me, like, do you think there's a clamoring for this? I mean, people still buy the game, but I'm just saying, like, I would be surprised. But you tell me how the community feels.
My answer is absolutely a there will be one, but not like inside sources. I'm just saying, like, my prediction is absolutely there would be one. Now, when that is, I don't know. But I genuinely think that, this is one of those things where Bethesda's like, we've sold this enough times. How can we sell it one more time? I really think that's what it comes down to. I think and the thing is that we might get it sooner than we're really all dreaming of because people are like, oh, surely Morrowind next. But Morrowind is such a massive undertaking. Like that is not... Like they have to change if they want to modernize it, mind you. And I do love Morrowind, although I've never actually beat Morrowind, fun fact. But that game requires so much change under the hood if you want to bring it to that kind of level of accessibility that Oblivion even has. And even then, they thought Oblivion was too inaccessible and brought it to Skyrim's level. So it is a mountainous climb for that game.
Yeah.
The way you navigate that world, the way you level up, the way, like the reason your skills even exist now, it's a fundamental from the ground up remake. I don't think they're going to do that. So what else do they have left?
I know.
Skyrim. And I think they need to get that out and done with before, we get TES 6, because otherwise I don't know, man. Like it's just, there's no other time other than the next 4 to 5 years.
I agree with you with Morrowind being so much of a technical lift and reading about, and they have to worry about the hardcore who really love Morrowind's purity, right? As far as like being able to break everything and the systems involved and stuff. But I guess my question to you is like, what could they really do that hasn't been done in Skyrim that we haven't seen in like 3 or 4 remasters? That's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, Skyrim is a very playable game in my opinion. I know people are like, oh, the combat could be so much better and whatnot, and I agree, but like it's just it's a game that you can pick up and play. So yeah, dude, I don't know. I think I'm thinking off the top of my head, it's mostly visual changes. It really is mostly visual changes, which even then I don't think is super necessary. It's definitely a remaster that defeats itself a bit, but what else they could do? I mean, they have ESO that's doing its thing. And I think otherwise, anything spin-off related, like the time has kind of passed for that, because now it's just been so long. Like maybe when they were doing things like Elder Scrolls Legends, Castles, those sorts of games, Blades, that's the other one I was trying to remember.
Yeah, yep.
These mobile things or whatever they may be, these card games, they really should have then in that like late 2010s, early 2020 stretch done a thing, like alongside the remaster. My pitch is always like, hey, RTS game set in the Elder Scrolls universe, or a strategy role playing game, kind of like XCOM but Elder Scrolls. I think that'd be cool. Obviously, my Dark Brotherhood Arcane Studios game is like my best idea. There's a lot of things they could have done that were more standalone adventures to hold people over. Bethesda also at one point did really cool little games like Wolfenstein: The Old Blood, and Dishonored: Death of the Outsider. And I think even those little things would have done the trick a little bit for Elder Scrolls fans in the meanwhile. I don't think it would have made anything easy for what's amounting to be an insanely long wait between Skyrim and 6, but it still would have been something to go back to. Now all we have are these games that many of us have replayed over and over and over. So with Skyrim though, like what they could add to that to like make it playable again, I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking like they kind of turned Skyrim Oblivion into Skyrim.
Yeah.
I think Skyrim is a very, very close to perfect video game in a lot of ways. I think, I'd sit here and be like, yeah, make the story better or the writing better, sure, but like they're not going to do that. Right. So I don't know. I think they'll just literally pretty it up and sell it to you again. Yeah, I do think that would be the option here for a remaster. I think they'd go for it because it's even easier. And they could squeeze that in time. Like if you're thinking about the other upcoming remasters, like there's Fallout 3 and there's New Vegas, and that could run you up until like 2028, 2029. And so if this is just a visual lift and there's really nothing else going on, it's like Skyrim remaster could be out in just enough time when you think about it.
Get people excited right before the new gen. I guess.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. I mean, what else do you do? I feel like they got to do. Do you think they got to do something, or is it just like at this point, just wait it out? We've waited long enough. Just wait.
They've got to make Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah, well, I know, but like, do you? Is there any support projects, any other remasters, anything they could do spin-off wise in your head that like, or do you think there's nothing really satisfying this craving, and we may as well just build it all up into an explosive release for Elder Scrolls 6?
Kind of just, they've just proven that they just can't, I don't say multitask, but it's just so much of an overtaker for these type of games. So I just where I'm at with it. I just want Elder Scrolls 6 at this point. Obviously, I'm glad Fallout now be solving that problem. But this is the elephant in the room, and this franchise is too big for it, it not to be out. So that's my thing. Just all hands on deck, and hopefully all the resources the God needs to get this thing ready to go, and hopefully in conjunction with a Helix release, I guess. I don't know.
I do agree with that. Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. I just, I feel like they got to make something out of it, but it's hard for me to say. It's just, it's such a rock and a hard place. So
I know.
If only they had other studios that could have done these things.
I know.
All right. Let's get into the rest of the news here. Have you heard this one before? Leadership issues at Halo Studios once more. This comes from Rebs Gaming and Windows Central. We've got the summary here by WCCF Tech. I'll read that out, and then we will dive right into one of our many write-ins for the show. So they right here, Halo Studios leaker Rebs Gaming, who previously delivered several reports on upcoming Halo titles, has now dedicated his latest video to the alleged mismanagement of the studio's leadership. Rebs Gaming sources blame specifically studio head Pierre Hintz, who reportedly has created a hostile environment and mismanaged projects, while Microsoft HR and senior leadership alleged to fail to intervene. Hintz was promoted from production lead to studio head on September 13th, 2022, amid a company-wide restructuring that followed. Infinite and those who were there with the Dukes at that point will remember this was when they had missed their timeline for the Forge mode, and the Halo community just fucking erupted. It was just like, it was truly what you could, if there was ever a doubt of how much Halo fans care about the Forge, that straw breaking the camel's back, you had to be there. It just immediately was like, what is going on? Everyone was mad in that instant. Anyway, the article continues on saying, Rebs Gaming received accounts from current and former Halo Studio staff who spoke anonymously because they are constrained by NDAs or worried about retaliation, which seems to be a very real fear as we read on here, and presented the video as an effort to pressure Microsoft into changing Halo Studios leadership. According to these sources, hints caused repeated HR complaints, abusive behavior toward employees, poor project planning, shifting priorities, and a broader erosion of morale. Specifically, the video accuses hints of routinely berating development teams to the point that staff allegedly became reluctant to show him work. Rebs Gaming even quotes an alleged "I don't give a fuck" response from hints to an engineering memo about work-life balance, and further claims he dismissed questions about workers gaining full-time status or better opportunities. One unnamed former staffer who worked closer to leadership said hints verbally attacked them, told them to leave the studio, which I remember the exact quote from Reb's video was get the fuck out of the studio.
It was more explosive than that, yeah.
And that subsequent appeals to Microsoft HR and legal were ignored. Then Rebs Gaming started naming employees who were slighted. Michael Farney, for instance, head of production and executive producer on Halo Campaign Evolved, was a longtime friend of Hint's, but was allegedly berated during the project's troubled development, demoted, took medical leave, and was then quietly dismissed during that leave. In the report, Rebs Gaming notes that while Matt Booty promoted Hints, the decisive support for his ascension to lead Halo Studios came from Craig Duncan, then head of Xbox Game Studios. It alleges that Duncan had known Hints for a long time and was meant to mentor him, but rarely did so because Duncan was based in London, which I'll get into that a little bit later. Anyway, for those who remember, Craig Duncan left Xbox right before the Xbox reset. The video also mentions two more people at the leadership level within Halo Studios. Chris Matthews, the studio art director, allegedly hired personal friends rather than the most qualified candidates, with Rebs Gaming characterizing this as cronyism and adding that former art director Glen Israel publicly confirmed that claim on LinkedIn. Matthews was also repeatedly brought to HR for inappropriate conduct toward co-workers and was made to apologize to his team in a meeting. Lastly, an unnamed source claims, this is like my favorite part, Chief Operating Officer Elizabeth Van Wyck, who's responsible for the studio's finances, was focused on personal matters, including mostly vacations, rather than the Halo business. So that's the story from WCCF Tech. Now, I want to go over to Windows Central, where they have themselves a report that does corroborate what was happening here. So let's read this article. In Reb's video, he quotes one source, quote, "I was verbally blasted by Pierre. It's emotional and shocking. And to this day, I cannot believe Microsoft HR and Microsoft Legal did not give me the time of day. Pierre literally told me to get the fuck out of the studio, and it traumatized me." Reb's videos are heavily editorialized and interspersed with opinions on the fate of Halo overall, but I wanted to see if the actual claims against Hints are credible. Rebs reported that these Halo Studios was working on a multiplayer title known as Project Ecker, which was canceled, and I verified that that is 100% true. However, while I couldn't verify everything Hints is accused of saying in Reb's video, unfortunately, comments I've received lend weight to some of these allegations. Sources infer that harbors a capacity for creating friction between his team and Xbox more broadly, and it suggested that he is a controversial figure internally. Former art director Glen Israel has gone on record previously alleging, as though he was retaliated against by Pierre Hints for raising concerns, that Halo Studios had arbitrarily blacklisted potential candidates over personal issues. So, in addition, he says, I spoke to over half a dozen staffers, past and present, who had experience working with Hints. Even though I couldn't verify some of the information in Reb's own video, I was past other criticisms and praise of Hints. Some suggested that some present-day Xbox producers and managers refused to engage with Hints without supervision, owing to feeling antagonized and undermined. I was told multiple anecdotes from very separate sources about Hints exhibiting vocal disrespect to other Xbox studios, teams, and projects, which didn't exactly paint him in a positive light. I saw emails sent to Microsoft HR, I'm thinking of Halo for real, that alleged bullying on the part of Pierre Hints, criticizing his treatment of staff. However, others did offer mitigating comments. One defended Hints, emphasizing his passion and dedication to the product. They suggest that it's not necessarily ill-intentioned, but sports a complete lack of tactfulness and people skills, in their opinion. So with that, Cog, I turn to you, my friend. What do you think's going on in Halo Studios? How do you feel about it? Does Asha Sharma make any changes in the next 1600?
Where do I begin with this? This is awful.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to write it. And then I'll...
Yes, please, get the right. Yeah, for sure, get the right.
This is Mr. Scott, if you're nasty. Dear well done, Maddie, and tech support Cog. I have to be honest, typically when I read about ex-employee complaints about inappropriate comments or harsh treatment, I roll my eyes and move on because of the soft gaming industry people. Halo Studios looks like a different animal. Rebs Gaming consistently providing reporting of shitty treatment by studio head, the shifting priorities, cronyism by many, including the art director, and the ineptitude of the chief operating officer. Yeah, where there's smoke, there's fire, especially in the Phil Spencer era where there was no semblance of accountability. My question is, could these be the changes that couldn't happen in a single day Asha Sharma was referring to in a recent letter? We are talking about the C-suite at a studio, and I can't imagine they want to hastily backfill those positions. Have a don't be afraid of the pink meat kind of day, Mr. Scott. Come on now. Come on now. Cog, please take over.
Yeah, man, this is awful. I hate reading stuff like this because, I've heard many similar things, right? And I know a lot of people in that building. I know people who have left that building, and I'm just gonna say everything that I've heard from Rebs Gaming reporting was what I heard, right? But I'm the type of person I always give benefit of doubt because I'm not there. And then what you realize too is, and this goes for all my friends, right? I don't if just because someone's a friend of mine and they work in the industry, I don't necessarily take everything you say verbatim because I already know there's always going to be some level of emotionality.
Yeah.
When you leave, there's disgruntledness. There's always an extra, remember, life, my favorite color, gray, right? There's always some other aspects that I want to be fair that I am not in the building. I don't know. But people have consistently said there are problems there. So I thought at the time, this was way back, right? Before Infinite and stuff like that. At the time, when I heard about, PA, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, isn't this the guy that, saved Master Chief Collection, which was a huge undertaking. Master Chief Collection was a disaster. That was the only game I purchased, and it didn't even work at launch. I remember people were like, Cog, we know you with this Xbox One thing. You're riding out. We still on PS4. That was the game that my 360 guys who went to PS4 said, okay, I like this, what they doing. I'll get an Xbox One for this, right? I know dudes who picked it up, didn't launch, and sent their Xbox One back and said, Cog, I'm good. That was their last shot to ever get me back into the Xbox ecosystem. How dare they launch that? So I want to be fair to what his role was prior and how he saved the Master Chief Collection. But now let's get to this. This is this is the worst indictment I've ever seen of a studio leader. And like this, I'm trying to think of any person in the games industry. Did Bobby ever get smoked like this? Like, I can't think of a single entity that when I ask about this person, it's always negative. And again, in fairness, I'm like, yo, what about, what he did there? Or what about this? Or what about, hey, I thought, Bonnie Ross or whatever it was, like the past regime was the problem. And now that's out, right? And they were like, Cog, if this does not change, this studio will never produce anything of quality, or we have no faith. Like, it's bad. So I was just like, So I just sat on it because, again, I'm a person that I like to hear both sides of the story. I've never met this individual. I'm just trying to be fair to both sides because I'm not in the studio. But what Revs is saying, everything I've heard. Jazz then doubles down with the follow-up on his investing. So now we have two sources, because I'm not a source. Don't include me with nothing. These two, I'm like, yes, it's that. So here's where we at. Asha Sharma. That's why I said, to Scott, if you're Nancy, has a great question. There is a strong possibility that we know that there's 1,600 now, and then there's 1,600 to come. Right. Yeah. And then also we got to remember that there are, with Halo Studios specifically, there are contractors and vendors. Right. And that gets tricky. Right. Because especially if they're working on something. So I feel like if something's going to happen, it's going to happen with that next 1,600. Right. And once they're done, because you got to kind of remember, there's that ramp up phase. It seems like Xbox is doing this. Like, if you're in the ramp up phase, we're leaving you alone for right now. You're working on something. And if you're not, but the only question here, Maddie, is that we heard Ecker was canceled.
Yeah.
So then what are they
What's
doing
next? Yeah.
Right. And if they're not doing anything, then this becomes, again, if change is truly going to happen, because this is what we're going to judge Asha now, right? All these management, literally the indictment of Xbox Studios, everything she said about 14 layers of management, we're too big, a kind of, all that applies to this one studio. All of this. So I want to see how you navigate that. And I will say, like, I didn't know about the other stuff, who appointed who, and that stuff was new to me. I didn't know about that. I didn't know about the Craig Duncan thing. I didn't know about the Matt Booty thing. All I would say is this: if these reports that seem to be leading to a certain direction are true, that is a huge indictment, because then that means they're harboring someone who is impeding the success and the development of a game and making it. First of all, you have people working in a hostile environment. Like, that's one of the worst thing. You have someone who you're subordinate to that is disrespect like that. Let me explain something. That is one of the worst situations to work in, especially if you complain to HR and there is no action. That means now that person's insulated. That means that person is nearly willing. They willing to do whatever they want, and they feel empowered. So clearly, if this is true, then there is some protection going on. That is crazy. That's unacceptable. Like, there's no world where that's acceptable. If that's true, in which we all see these multiple reports all seem to be saying the same thing. So good luck. This is what I want to see. These are the tough decisions. I want to see what happens in this world, because, man, and one thing I'll say, last thing I'll say, I know a lot of people, say, hey, I don't listen to, reports like this. I roll my eyes and stuff like that. And Scott, you were being fair with that. I'm not coming at you. But, like, this is where investigative journalism is good, because people are willing. It makes it so bad, Maddie, that people are willing to snitch and break all type of rules and NDA to say, look, we hate it here because of this situation. They want it to get out. That's when you know it's bad. Like, these are the people that's like, yo, Jason on speed dial, Rebs on speed dial.
Talking to everybody, bro. That's the other thing. Yeah.
Multiple people, bro. So yeah, that's it. It's a shame, because there's a lot of talent there. So that's what I got. But yeah, this is awful.
Yeah, man. I mean, I said that when this first 1600 came and they weren't hit, I was like, okay, they're definitely waiting until after Campaign Evolved hits, and then they're gonna tear through this studio. The thing that I'm worried about is they're gonna tear through the existing talent and not necessarily what seems to be leadership issues. But there's also a level of, like, dude, we read this story years ago with Infinite. Like, we went through all of this before. It's time to just take this IP away from them, dude. Like, it's just time. I always thought I got to make a tier list of, like, bad decisions during the Phil Spencer era, because I was about to say this was the worst choice, but I don't know. The doubling down on 343 is a choice. Okay, we cleaned house. Bonnie Ross is out. All these other people are out. Like, we got Pierre here, and you and I were both like, all right, finally they listened. Like, let's see where this all goes. Nothing was really happening. We were starting to get inside reports already. Like, things are stuck. They don't know really what to do. Here comes this Xbox Wire post. It's Halo Studios, new name, new engine, new games. I'm like, so you doubled down, and not only after nothing had changed, you let them rename themselves to claim further ownership, to, like, gain territory on a brand that they have actively damaged between their own games and the TV shows and their obsession with books. Turn this into a book company, dude, because that's the most that they have produced. So I do think that they'll just tear through this studio after Campaign Evolved, because I think what they're going to look at is cancel the project. Your latest game was mostly outsourced. So why do we have all you here? What are we doing? And I feel like Halo will be treated maybe a little bit like Fallout. That is my prediction. I could be dead wrong, but, like,
no,
I don't know, man. I don't know how you have your there's just certain ones that I get, like Fallout's money. We're messing with money here.
Yeah.
I think Halo can be money. I don't know if it's, like, as guaranteed golden goose type money as a Fallout or an Elder Scrolls right now, but, like, when Halo's great, I mean, people really enjoyed the multiplayer for Infinite when it launched. 20 million players is nothing to scoff at. I'm sure Halo's still got some pull, but its brand damage is you could write many a book on that one. And so there's something to be said about just Xbox culture of like, we cannot have our identity wrapped up in this bullshit endlessly. Most of the fans that like berate Halo berate it out of care because they're just like, I can't believe how bad this has been for so long. Yeah. So it is one of those things that, again, will be very telling about Asha Sharma. Like we just talked about this reset where we're like, okay, how much do you value Halo? Right? We've learned, okay, she values some of the right things here, like Fallout, Elder Scrolls. Like she knows that this is something underserved. And we read the report, Halo is going to be nurtured in the future. But how much do you care about the fact that there have been, like, if this is a one-time thing, all right, Maddie, benefit of doubt. But dude, this has been fucking endless for this team. Endless since the Infinite days. And even before that, really, when you go into Halo 5 with Guardians and whatnot, and now they have a canceled game. What are they doing? It's not even about the one story that stands out to me amongst all of this is when Glen Israel was let go, right? He was a director in 3 different positions across 3 different projects for Halo Studios. He was let go and he was told, we no longer need your position. They then created an art director position and gave his role to someone else. That's bad. Crazy. That's like next level spitefulness, bro. Yeah. That is not a working environment. The other thing that stood out to me in this report, this was a new nugget here. Craig Duncan was to mentor Hints? How? When Craig was at Rare, he was in the fucking UK.
Exactly.
This is a Pacific Northwest studio. Was he going to fly over? Pierre Hintz was going to put on his best fit. Hey, it's all great here. And he's going to go, yeah, bloke. Yeah, it's great there. Nothing wrong there. And fly on home. And then it would go back to the same bullshit, bro. Like, it reminds me of like Harry Potter, You just show up and like a normal family, but you don't know how bad Harry's going through it, man. You really don't. And they're like, oh, we love our kids. And then shut the door. What the fuck are you doing, bro? Like, that's Pierre to me. So how was Craig exactly going to be mentoring him? Through email? Like a mentor has to be in the studio. And I got to also throw out there, if he's not ready to be a leader or he's this controversial that he needs a mentor on a certain level, should he be in his spot in the first place? So there's that too.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Please finish.
No, God, that was it. I was. No,
I mean,
keep going.
It's a fantastic point. I mean, clearly, if a mentor was needed, there's trepidation on personal skills or soft skills, right? Where you have to interact with people all the time. And then the question becomes, again, how this process generally goes is, like I said, it's review. You're reviewed by your peers. So I am very curious to see how that review process went. I'm very curious to see how come if there are multiple people on their performance reviews who may say, hey, I disagree with what my boss is telling me or he's treating me, and that is gone unheard, right? That is another separate issue. Mm-hmm. That is now HR not protecting employees, right? Then we're talking about what I consider generational neglect. This is just neglect. Like you again, if the stories are 100% true, like that is someone running roughshod and not being there. And to your point, in fairness, yes, could someone be helped and assisted remotely? A lot of these things are called, yeah, but it's not the same. It's not the same when you're in
Especially
the studio.
It's behavioral. It's not like, if it's like mentoring, like I'm checking in with him on choices I'm making.
Right. And I'm trying to help his skill set with something that from a technical standpoint, I can help. Yeah, we could do a remote call, bro. We could do a Zoom. We meet. There's one thing about corporate is meetings every day. There's meetings all the time. There's meeting about a meeting, right? So you got that. But the key to your point, if there are these skills that are now needed from a manager and that people like we got to bring HR in, or we got to sit down with you and now put you through almost like a probationary status to kind of get you to where you need to be. And clearly it doesn't seem like those checks and balances are there. The last thing I got to say, because this is, I'm going to get killed for this, but I got to be honest. And this is what I think. If I'm really, because the question, because remember, this is what I'm ascertaining things. It's not about making excuses. It's about I want to know how did something get to this point? I want the nuance of why this kind of happened. So this is my guess, right? And I can say this because of who I am. My guess is the reason why maybe this has gone on for so long is the same reason why the last situation has gone on. I think there may potentially, Maddie, be a fear of the perception of removing individuals based on their gender or their race.
Oh, really?
because I just got to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Remember, this is an optics and PR world. And I'm not, again, I'm all about for my own and all that. I'm just being honest as to maybe one of the factors that may say, like, hey, we don't want to get rid of her, or we don't want to get rid of him because of who they are.
Mm.
And sometimes that can get you in trouble. You know what I'm saying? Especially if remember, it all comes down to qualifications. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to have qualification. And look, I'm a black man and I understand it is very difficult, right? To get positions and stuff like that. And we know the climate that's going on with politics right now. I'm not going to go there. But what I'm trying to say is all I'm saying is there are things that are strange. And it's either two things. It's either that, what I mentioned, because of who they are, right? Or because who you know. And if who you know is insulating you and protecting you and got you, and that's your homie, and because that's where the cronyism, the nepotism, and all that's corporate also. Because I've been victim of it, so I can say it. You know what I'm saying? I've been victim of, hey, I've applied. I am the most qualified person for it. But what ends up happening is, hey, I got, like, whoever's the hiring manager, I got my man. This really is open position. I'm putting out the position publicly, but the reality is, I already got my man. You know what I'm saying? That he gonna come take the role. We just gonna do this as a formal thing, so we don't get sued, and we give the illusion that this is an open interview process. But trust me when I tell you, this happens more than you think, and I'll die on this one, because I've had people admit to me and come up to me in many organizations, say, "Carl, look, that was awful. Do you want to take action of what happened?" And I'm like, no, I'm good. That gave me an indicator that, you know what? That's God telling me you don't need to be there, because that's what's going on in that kind of thing. So that's my outside the box cog theory, what it could be. And the final point I will say is that, as far as if something is to happen, this is the time, because one thing about Asha that I am seeing, and we learn with it don't matter if you got tenure, high salary, because in the Asha era, the high salary dudes are getting cut first. You know what I'm saying? So for anyone who is saying that, hoping that maybe something happened, it may be that because of the fact that it's a tentpole, they may have to wait until campaign evolved is out. There may be a reassessment period, and then from there we will see what happens.
Yeah. My only last point is from Windows Central. I'll reread it. When they said, I saw emails sent to Microsoft HR that alleged bullying on the part of Pierre, criticizing his treatment of staff. However, others did offer mitigating comments. One defended Pierre Hintz, emphasizing his passion and dedication to the product. They suggest that he's not necessarily ill-intentioned, but sports a complete lack of tactfulness and people skills, in their opinion. And I wanted to zero in on that specifically because I do have experience with this.
Oh, talk to me.
With people who want or are in leadership positions, and they don't know how to talk to others. And this is like I'm good at that. That's my job. Like, I talk on a microphone, and so I know how to talk to other people respectfully, and I know how to deliver criticism of ideas and mechanics and whatnot. There's times where it's like it's time to bully. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying not in like your own team specifically, but I know how to communicate that, where you get across the idea to the person who's trying to learn from this, like, okay, this clearly upset them, but why? And deconstructing that. But I've worked with an individual, or as I should say, specific individuals where that has been an experience. And it's like that's where you pull rank. It's an instant fucking no-go. It's either figure it out or get out. Like that's my experience with it. You whip those types of people into shape completely, because that's what creates bad culture, because then that can set in where people would be afraid to show things. That is a very real thing that I've heard about in other teams. Like, it is something that can very much settle in. And so when I saw this, I was like, this is such a bitch ass excuse, bro. Like, oh, he's just passionate and he's not. I can understand the ill intention or not being ill intentioned, but that's a fucking bullshit excuse, dude. No one, even if one of these sentences is true, if you're trying to make something great, tell me what Pierre says that makes Halo great then. If he doesn't like your work and says, get the fuck out, If he doesn't like your work and he says, I don't give a fuck, thanks, Pierre. Let me take that back to the team and let them know. And I will now figure out how to make you give a fuck, because you didn't even give us that, right? That's the point in this all, is that this type of shit, it sounds soft. I get it. I understand why there are people who read all this and like, oh, he told me to get the fuck out. Cry me a river. I'm not even out here like sobbing for the other devs. Right. It's more the ridiculousness of it all. And that, that they all clearly care in their own different ways. Right. Some are offended, some are over aggressive, but none of them can seem to get the idea that by just focusing on, in this case, Halo, right, what can make that great? I don't like this. This pisses me off. Cool. That's a normal human thing. Mm-hmm. And especially in a creative area where you're like really, you're like, I want a great Halo game. Right. How you voice that is everything. So trying to bail someone out, like, it's not ill-intentioned. Weak excuse, bro. Especially if you're in a leadership position.
Yeah.
You need people skills. You don't have to be an ass kisser.
Right.
People lead in different ways. They can be a little more harsh. You could have a good cop, bad cop dynamic. You could have all these fucking different approaches, but like you still need to be able to know how to talk to people, to know your staff.
Right.
Where you know, like, this person needs a little bit more reassurance. This person I can talk to like one of my bros. We'll just shoot back and forth. This person likes it when it's harsh criticism.
Right.
And that's what your job is when you're a studio head, is to know these things about your people. So when you have those one-on-ones about the game, you know how to tackle the issues in the best way possible. So again, that particular point, I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Just to add on to your point, which makes a lot of sense, is that there's multiple people who are accusing this individual, right? So you have multiple people. And here's the biggest indictment, Maddie. Even, let's say you have the worst managerial style. You do not know how to talk to people, but you have great results. Where are the results? That's my issue.
That's true.
You see what I'm saying? You can't have this, because we've heard the stories of crunch and this one said this to me and told me. We've heard similar stories, maybe not to this extent, and maybe what multiple people but exactly. But like, my thing is, I could understand if this was some award-winning studio that just pumping out fire Halo games, right? Yeah. They have no successful results, no proof of this managerial concept to say, you see, through all the pain and strife, look what happened. We gave you Red Dead. Right? Through all the pain and strife. Look what then people go, hey, then you see the fans will be like, hey, sometimes you gotta crack the whip.
Sometimes you really gotta crack them in the face.
Like, dudes are soft, right? They have no point of reference of success. So it's like, who are they to be cracking on anything with your mid-infinite life? You know what I mean? Come on, bro. Like, so that part is where I tried my best to defend, but I was like, no. There's no defending that. And again, you're just treating people horrible and you don't have that track record. So we'll see what happens. This is a big deal. This is Halo, bro.
Absolutely. With that, Cog, let's move on into some other ball and gun news here. This time it's for Call of Duty. So there were these new ports that have come out on the PlayStation Store for Black Ops 1 and 2, as they were previously announced. They dropped, and they are the number 1 and 2 items on the storefront. They actually dethroned GTA 6. And Charlie Intel had posted that, according to their sources, Black Ops 1 and 2 ports have more players online than Black Ops 7 did on all platforms combined, which shouldn't shock anyone who laid their hands on that game. But my point being is, like, Xbox is making a killing on this. Also, I've not looked into these at all because I didn't really care about this, and I'm not buying anything digital on PlayStation right now. But I've heard that these ports are awful too.
Really? Oh, okay.
Like, I've heard that they're like, the matchmaking has been terrible, but I've also seen the prices for like the DLC lopped on top. Like, yeah, they make you pay for the DLC still. It's and people eat it up, dude. And I'll just say on one, I'll pass it to you, but real quick, I've seen on one note, people are like, yeah, look at all you physical game bros out there. Where are you at now? I'm like, let's not pretend that the Call of Duty audience is the same audience as the physical gaming collecting audience. Let's not do that. Y'all can still be the majority. No one has taken that away from you. But let's not lie to ourselves here. Let's just not. Cog, your thoughts on the Black Ops ports making it an absolute killing right now?
Oh no, man! They say your team
saying I'm weak-willed these days.
They say y'all put y'all pick it, your tiki torches and you post it down and y'all ran as soon as the digital came. I think it's funny. I'm just teasing. I just think that whole debate is hilarious. Look, Xbox is making a killing off this for sure, right? What I heard, because I'm not too invested, but what I heard was that obviously they're leading the charts and stuff like that. But I heard that like the Xbox community is mad because they're like, yo, even though we have back compat and it's through 360 or whatever, like because of the hacking and the infrastructure, it's actually a worse experience. So they're getting the better experience, which is kind of hilarious in a way. I'm like, yo, this is where actually not that back compat is a bad thing, but it just from a security standpoint, I guess there's nothing they can do to fix it because it's running on 360 servers and the hack. Oh, you already know the boys is running wild out there with the exploits. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it sucks. I'm curious if they probably. Because this is vintage Activision. They're known for doing the littlest effort and just like I remember when they brought out Marvel Ultimate Alliance briefly, and all it was like an up-res, and it was no new feature. I was like, come on! It was like
I completely shilled out for those though. I was like, I love Ultimate Alliance though. Yeah,
they got me. After I bent the knee, and I'm like, damn, this was really low effort. But I mean, even though I wanted it and I was still happy with my experience, I just thought it would be a little bit more. So what they could do, I'm curious, but they probably wouldn't, is if they would release these like they did for PlayStation on, for series consoles, the same way they did for PS, and it would be a separate launchers. But the only thing I'm probably thinking they probably wouldn't, Maddie, is they probably don't want to split the online base. And especially if the online base is high, despite the hacking, they probably ain't gonna do it. So Xbox fans, I think it's gonna take an L on this one, man, because I would be shocked because backward compat was for this purpose to give you this access, and I can't see them saying, okay, now we're gonna make another game with separate servers so that you can play with PlayStation guys. But then again, it is selling. I don't know. This is a weird situation.
I think this is one of the most disgusting things I've seen in my fucking lifetime, bro. The base game for each, by the way, I thought it was a dual pack. So here's me learning in real time.
All right, let's go.
It's $40 each. That's already fucking ridiculous. Okay,
50 piece.
But then the season pass for each game, they're selling the DLC in packs, but the season pass is $30 each. So these are $70 a pop each. It's $140 day for you people out there who are still playing these old games like they're new. And I'm just hoping people wake up. Black Ops 7 felt like a moment. Again, people tried to use this against the physical gamers. I'm using this against the people who had willpower in November last year and chose to not play Black Ops 7 and saw this and folded like a fucking lawn chair. Like really? Like you have no spine or $140 package for this type of old shit? Dude, I'm the one out here begging for Fallout remasters, and dude, $70 a pop.
Wow.
Base game DLC, and they ported them. They didn't even remaster them, guys. That's my point.
Yes,
man, dude. Do not buy Call of Duty. They do not buy any Call of Duty. It's just like they will absolutely fuck you over without a second thought. They do not care about you. Like, this is bad on so many levels. I wish people cared, but it's too late.
Bro, this old school Activision energy, and yeah, it is little effort. The fact that they charge in, they could bundle the joint and give a suite of all of it. Like, that's crazy. Yeah, but you look, they got the numbers. They know people folded. This got more players than Black Ops 7 does combined on all platforms these ports. That's crazy.
Yeah. So enjoy your Whacktivision money. Cog, let's move on to more news here. Microsoft deletes a 25-year-old account. This caught a lot of buzz on social media. We've got the full story here. Joshua Kane had posted on Twitter that Microsoft deleted his account and OneDrive after acknowledging that he is the owner of the account and that it was compromised. This is 25 years of data, thousands of euros spent on games. He even had his son's baby pictures up on the OneDrive. and this is all gone. Here is the letter that Microsoft support wrote to him saying, at Microsoft, safeguarding your account is a top priority. We have thoroughly investigated the account and billing activity associated with your Microsoft account. Based on this review, we've confirmed that unauthorized access did occur. During this investigation, we discovered that the security information on your account has been changed. Due to our strict security protocols and the terms outlined in the Microsoft Services Agreement, we are unable to modify or restore the security settings once they've been updated. To prevent further misuse, we have permanently suspended the account. This action is irreversible and ensures that your data remains protected. If you use this account for Minecraft, we regret to inform you that the game cannot be recovered. A new purchase will be required on a newly created account. We understand this may be disappointing and sincerely apologize for the inconvenience. Additionally, if you had any files stored on OneDrive, the hits keep coming. This is a hilarious letter. Those files are no longer accessible. Due to encryption and privacy safeguards, even our engineers cannot retrieve them. While this outcome may not be ideal, it is necessary to ensure your personal data does not fall into the wrong hands. We recommend that you, and this is hyperlinked, create a new account. Thank you for your understanding and patience during this investigation of your account. Now, to Xbox's credit, they did the thing that I hate. I'm not trying to do the mudslinging console war stuff, but like when I look at what happened to Colin and how this all happened behind closed doors, mainly because Colin has his platform and was able to go up the chain on Sony. Right. Xbox, to their credit, with their support account, did go public and did respond to this and said, we're sorry this happened. It's not the experience we want anyone to have when their account is compromised. We've been working to restore access to your purchase and reached out with the next steps. Please check your voicemail or inbox. So this made the round with 5.3 million views and 80K likes, 10K retweets. Really bad look here. But what people are starting to respond to with this Xbox support account now is there's tons of people having all of these issues. Xbox told me to go fuck myself. Yeah, I'm having the same thing. I'm having the same thing. Xbox support, are you going to take a look at my account too? So hundreds of replies now of people saying, oh, it's the same deal with me. What about me? This is now turning into a massive issue for them. And as we push to this all digital future, might I be a broken record one more time, Cog? Would you mind?
No, please tell us.
Is this how you want your library of games treated? I actually, I'm done. I know the answer. I know the answer. I don't need to preach.
Yeah.
There is no world where I need to sit here and argue with anybody. You know, whether it's you can't get off the couch to change your disc or not. You know you don't own these things, and you know you're giving it up to Xbox and to PlayStation. And if you know that, you will make your voice heard. Because right now, the only people who really, I think, can save us from hell is Xbox, in my opinion. Because as we'll get into with another story, actually, why don't we tie this all in one big happy family here? There was an open letter that was written over to Xbox. This was by Video Games Plus. They tagged Asha Sharma and Xbox. They said, on behalf of VGP, we'd like to share our perspective as a retailer that has proudly supported the games industry and Xbox brand for many years. When Microsoft originally introduced the vision of the Xbox One with a strong emphasis on digital ownership, the response from consumers was immediate. Sony took advantage of that moment by positioning the PlayStation 4 as the console that embraced physical game ownership, and history has shown how influential that decision became. Today, the market is shifting once again. Sony appears to be moving further to a digital future first, creating an opportunity for Microsoft to differentiate itself by becoming the industry's strongest advocate for physical media. We encourage Microsoft to revisit Project Helix and make physical games a core part of its strategy. There remains a base of passionate and dedicated audiences that value collecting, preserving, lending, trading, and truly owning the games they purchase. As a retailer, we see that demand every day. The saying, what goes around comes around, feels especially relevant. Years ago, Sony benefited from championing physical game ownership, while Microsoft moved toward digital. Today, Microsoft has an opportunity to reverse that narrative and become the company that stands behind consumer choice. Many gamers still look back on the 360 era as the golden age of Xbox. The platform was synonymous with innovation, great games, and strong relationship with both players and retail partners. We believe Microsoft can recapture much of that goodwill by reaffirming its commitment to physical gaming and by bringing Project Helix to market. As one of Microsoft's retail partners, we believe a renewed investment in physical media would benefit consumers, retailers, publishers, and Xbox itself. We respectfully encourage you and your leadership team to consider this opportunity and help usher Xbox back into the position of industry leadership that so many fans remember. Thank you for your time and consideration. We look forward to seeing Xbox continue to innovate while supporting the millions of players who still value physical game ownership. Sincerely, VGP. Now, with all of this in mind, right, this is why I say I think Xbox is our only chance, because I don't think PlayStation is going to pivot, clearly. But then we have this right in here from Loomdoon. He says, hey, Dukes, I'd like to talk about the potential comeback for Xbox. To be honest, I'm not an Xbox guy. I'm a Nintendo fan primarily, but also love PlayStation. With PlayStation shooting off their own foot with the physical games fiasco, could Xbox turn this into a PR win? If Xbox comes out and says they're embracing physical games, have a physical to digital option, and have a more entry level and cheaper Helix that maybe doesn't have a PC functionality, then that may win a lot of goodwill with gamers. If I were Xbox, I would not let an opportunity like this pass. Even if the chances are low, why not go for it and make a big play? Personally, I would look in their corner if they did something like that. Thanks for reading my writing. Have a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth hard mode is pretty fun, and you should try it out before Revelations kind of day. Thank you, Loom Doom. We appreciate you. So with all that said, this is staring them in the face, dude. And I get the splits. I know you take a loss on physical, but I do think Xbox is in a position of strength in a rare fucking moment right now. Especially coming after this Xbox bloodbath. It's really crazy to be saying that. But their position of strength is just to secure the hardcore gamers. It's not going to change their fortunes where I think, oh, now you're outselling the PlayStation. But look what happened. You know, PS4 to Xbox One. Yeah, it was a bit of a different market. Mm-hmm. But I do think there is something to be said about saying, you will find our games with a disc in stores. We will support secondhand sales. I think there's a lot that goes into that, bro. I know we're talking optics here, but I do think this, if they are about, you know, hey, look, we want to return to the rebellion, the essence of Xbox. This is
using Xbox. The quotes. Using the quotes.
I got the receipts, man. Follow up. Like, what are we doing here? So that's my point in all of this, dude. Is just that PlayStation and my badgering of them will continue until they at least give the fans the response they deserve.
There's been none.
But Xbox in general does have an opportunity here. I don't know if it changes their fate, but they have an opportunity to gain a little bit of ground. And I think for them, every inch is a mile right now because it's been an uphill battle. And this is actually one of those moments where it's like, oh, we can return the receipt all this time later. There's the PR of it. There is the game, like the gamer in it all that's like, yes, awesome. And so I think they would be silly to not take full advantage and at the very least get ahead and be like, something we're doing involves physical. We'll see if it ends up just being their disc to digital system. But if they were like, I mean, they're in a good opportunity. And why can they talk about this while PlayStation can? Because PlayStation's response to all this is tied to the PS6 that they're going to continue to pretend you know nothing about. With Xbox, though, they have talked to you about Helix extensively at that.
Right.
So they could be like, we will include a disc drive and we will support physical games. And it would not disrupt any of their plans at all. So they could pull the trigger now and just get ahead of it and put pressure on PlayStation to at least stretch this out a little bit longer. That's my take on it. Cog, your thoughts between the account and everyone putting their data in Microsoft's hands compared to what VGP wrote and how you're feeling about this all digital future fiasco.
You first start with the account stuff is pretty awful. Here, you know, whether it be I'm just curious because the IT in me is very curious about the security layer as to why, you know, the OneDrive connection and what could have possibly happened that they are now locking you out of the entire account. And then, you know, that to me screams security flaw. That screams some form of two-factor authentication. Something in their process seems seems a little busted. That this should be happening, right? And then it seemed obviously as this person has gained traction, more people have come out and say, yo, I've experienced this before, or hey, I don't have access to this. And one thing about Xbox that I do like is that you make enough noise, they will at least respond and at the very minimum look into it. So my prediction is that they are going to change some form of their policy in regards to this account. Because the fact that the Xbox support account responded to this guy was like, hey, we are looking to restore your purchases. We're looking to do some stuff in reference to that. That's a big deal. I don't want to underscore that. That's a huge deal. So let's see, you know, what happens. I've seen Microsoft in positions like this before from a tech standpoint, you know, that they maybe can actually resolve that. As far as the you know, the physical games, I mean, here's the thing. I feel y'all. It's the perfect moment. If you ever want to get your lick back, this is it, right? This is it. The question comes down to the climate. You know, like we said before, it wasn't on my bingo card for PlayStation to lead the digital future so aggressively. It was Xbox. I was like, this is the console that the company that gave us the Series S, an old digital console.
Mhm.
This is the console, the company that gave us Game Pass, which we like is the best deal in gaming at its time. And
Mhm.
then, but we realized, hey, this is an all, digital service that you download and stuff like that, right? And yes, I'll be the first to admit on Team Digital, even though I respect physical and I want the option. I definitely like the option of I don't like where there's no option. But as a person, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll be honest. When it was over for me, Maddie, when I was like, okay, I think I had Xbox One, and I was like, so it was a launcher. It was
Mm.
something, and I was like, do I want to be in the South Bronx online with sweaty individuals looking over my back for when I get my game coming out the store with a collector's edition, or can I hit download now? In the
Mm.
cover, I'll be honest, it was over for me. I was like, yeah. And then what happened for me was then I said, okay, you know what? For stuff that I truly care about, I'll get my physical, I'll get that, you know what I'm saying? So I buy the game twice, so to speak, right? When
Mhm.
I love the game, then I get that physical purchase and whatever. But to where we are now, let's get to this. Here's what I think will happen. Definitely this to digital. They have to make a strong push to say, hey, because one thing Sony still hasn't done is say, hey, what about for people who have all these discs, coming into the PS6 that they don't want to talk about just yet?
Mhm.
How do I transfer this step? What's the steps, right? They haven't discussed this. So the first thing is get in front of this to digital. Now I will say this. Normally I would say y'all ain't got a shot in hell with Microsoft in terms of them wanting to lead the charge. This is the company that told me years ago when the X series consoles came out, I was I was bitching about no digital optical out. And they were like,
Mm.
"Ah, we got the data. Ain't nobody was using it. The percentage was this." I was like, "Damn, just remove the whole port." They was like, yeah. So once I said, "Okay, that's the company to do that," I already resigned myself that they are going on digital. But I will say this: this is what I'm gonna give you a little hope. Physical bros. The Asha Sharma era is very interesting. And one sense that I get about her maverick nature, she is a player portal and feedback person. And look, if you create a player portal, you want to know the top issues. So this is what I tell y'all to do. Look, that's why I love voicing your displeasure to the company that you pay money to say, yo, this ain't it. And shout out to VGP. Eloquent. Was it disrespectful to say, hey, you've got an opportunity here to really do something? And let's be honest, Xbox need these PR wins after these bloodbaths, after all that's going on. This would be an opportunity, and I will say this: I wouldn't be surprised if Asha and Matthew Ball are sitting there like, "Yo, what can we realistically do in this time frame to catch them on the back?" Because one thing we know about PR, Xbox loves good PR. Don't let them fool you. When they crafted the Odyssey, they like, look, how we gonna spin it? We getting rid of 3,500 people. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, how we gonna
Yeah.
spin it? So they're like, yo, all right, we saved the
14
studios
layers
though.
of management. That one
Yep.
squad there, cite them.
Yep. Oh, exactly. Exactly. So I know everybody, listen, they care about optics.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think there is it's a long shot. I still think they're gonna just give y'all this to digital, but I will give y'all this that she and Ball will look at it and say, okay, what what realistically can we do in this time frame, depending on how far along Helix is? Can we put a disc in the thing? Can we do something to really take advantage of this moment? Because here's the reality. As the third place challenger brand, you need like 4 banana peel slips from the leaders to catch back
Yeah.
up in the race.
Yeah.
This is one, and actually two, because they got the physical, but people forget the whole bait and switch was PS3 and Vita storefronts.
Yeah.
So if you come out with a unified front, we here at Xbox believe in generational preservation. We here at Xbox believe that your physical data comes with you, and with the announcement, they could take advantage of it that
Yeah.
way. And
Yeah.
that's where I think the Asha factor gives you a little hope that maybe. So that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah. I mean, for a while, if we were to use Xbox player voice, I don't like to use it because I'm just like, are they really going to make decisions based on 11,000 people who voted on this? But
They gave
if they,
exclusives, bro. They said exclusives
yeah,
at
I
the
mean,
top of
yeah,
the
they said
list.
exclusives number one, they got exclusives. So that's the other thing, though, is if you're trying to create value around the box, I think it should be at any and all costs. Like, I think this is one of those. Like, can we stop pretending optical drives are super fucking expensive? Like, are we done with this? Like, I get the RAM part, I get the memory part. Can we stop pretending adding a disk drive is really breaking the fucking bank here?
It just slight pushback. You're right, but if Sony bows out, and I believe they were one of the major distributors of it, then I guess from a corporate standpoint, the price will go up because it's less people buy. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, that's fair because it'd be $50. Yeah,
yeah. But to your point, it's Xbox's bike. So, like,
yeah,
I got that.
Yeah. So I mean, the thing that I've always said, I think I said it last week even. I just think there's a less aggressive off ramp in all of this. All right. And I think treating it like an optional thing is totally fine. How would you feel if, I mean, you're a digital guy, right? So how would you feel if Xbox came out and they said, yo, game prices are staying the same on our storefront. We're charging $10 more to give you your game on the disc in stores. Those $80 video games, but you get it physical. And for our next generation, the Helix is staying the same, but we're giving you an external disc drive that you can buy as a separate piece. How would you feel? I mean, I'd be like, I literally said at this point, I'm fucking compromising, bro. Like, sure, fine.
Yeah, put the cost on the consumer. That's an option. That's an option. I mean, they'd win point because again, I always you gotta look at from them. It's always about the PR, how they go spin it. So
yeah, does it look good if they pass the cost on to us and be like, you can have it, but you pay for it,
Right. Yeah. But people, I think, will still be an overall optics W because they'd be like, hey, as long as I get my discs, the only concern I have is the actual Xbox Game Studio family producing discs again. That's I don't know, bro. Like,
bro, I remember that Starfield Premium Edition. They're like, here's a cred stick for you. I'm like, where's the fucking disc? You guys gave me a watch. Yeah, look at that shit. You gave me a watch. You gave me a steel book. You didn't give me a disc.
I know, that's the company. So to your point, you're right. That's probably the compromise. I think you nailed it. The compromise, if they do it, is you go to incur the cost and it's a $10 surcharge if you want, and maybe they handle it with their collector's edition version and that has the disc, and then it's still going to be a glorified. Once you put it in, then it's going to download something, and then you ain't gonna have the full game now, man. You
don't think? You don't think we can get there?
Xbox, man. I hope I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I just don't have a lot of confidence as I look at them. They're always the aggressive trailblazer in the technical front on things. They've always been that way. So I would be shocked. But the only thing that your strongest argument is the fact that they need W's badly. Yeah. And this is the first time PlayStation doesn't ever really give you room to gain ground in this way.
Yeah. So that's the thing, right? Like exactly that. There's different moments where people are like, oh, PlayStation's stepping on rakes, and they're like, shutting down Blue Point. Like, what can Xbox do? Why don't they go buy them? And it's like, yeah, it's not really the W. And we've learned enough by now. Like, it's not really the W that we think it's going to be. But like, this is one of those things where like they made a move against the consumer. A clear one, like you did. You have Asha's missed internal data.
Yeah,
she's right. Talking to all the old heads, all the people who've been around a while. Let's bring them in the building. Ask them about that generation. Go watch Phil's all interviews on how he was like, yeah, we lost the worst generation to ever lose. It was so fucking bad, bro. And look at us now. It's right there, dude.
It's right
I'm
there.
Just saying.
No, you're right. You're right. If your intent is to be the number one platform, is your intent to gain ground, then you've got to look into ways to take advantage of it. I do think she is. The question is how feasible, what's the leash, what's the rope, and to expect, and maybe, like you say, your solution is, hey, put the cost on the customer. If they want it, we'll do it. I've heard rumblings, though. I've heard rumblings to other things that, like, for example, with the exclusive stuff, I heard rumblings that to the very last minute, it was she tried to do more than just gears and clockwork. So if she has that mentality with that, right, then maybe the hope is, yo, what can we really do they're on, not that they're on the ropes, but there's two banana peels at PlayStation Slim, and people I've never seen between Bungie, the closing of Bungie, and the Destiny community being irate with PlayStation. The physical bros irate with PlayStation. The generational bros, as far as the storefronts being taken away, people are like, now granted, yes, this is probably a vocal minority, but it still means something. You know what I mean, kind of thing. And they can't afford to take too many hits. So we'll see.
Yeah, I have some additional thoughts. I'd like to actually jump into a separate story here that I have on our document. It's about the slowed adoption rate that we're starting to see with really this set of consoles. This seems like an offshoot story, but I'll kind of bring it home here. Glen had posted on social media, after careful consideration, we made the difficult decision that Dying Like the Beast will no longer be released on PS4 and Xbox One. Dying Like the Beast was built from the ground up to take full advantage of current gen hardware. Its open world, advanced visuals, and fluid combat and traversal all depend on processing power and memory that previous gen consoles simply cannot provide. As development progressed, it became clear that bringing the game to those platforms would require compromises that would prevent us from delivering the experiences we set out to create. This was not a matter of choosing to leave those platforms behind. Rather, it reflected the technical realities of the development for the best possible experience. We know many of you are looking forward to playing on PS4, Xbox One, and we're truly sorry for the disappointment this causes. Anyone who's expecting to play on either platform will be eligible for a refund. Now, we've seen this with Call of Duty recently dropped PS4 and Xbox One. Jedi Survivor was a story back in 2023. We're like, what? They're on PS4 and Xbox One? This was an anecdotal takeaway here, but I remember when the Xbox One and PS4 launched. And do you remember that first year where people were like, oh, we're still getting 360 PS3 games, just move on. And like that year felt like forever until finally 2015. It felt like really with Bloodborne, like we planted a flag. We're like, okay, here we go. Like now we're into the next generation. From there was some last gen support, but it felt like we really transitioned a lot quicker. And we were able to because development timelines were down, budgets were down, games were more accessible, et cetera, right? Based on our conversation we were just having here, right? The Xbox Series X and PS5 have arguably never been more important than right now. Because I think part of the reason they even jack these prices up beyond the parts is like, we're going to be on these for a while. I think they know a lot of people aren't going to move on because of the prices. And that brings me back to my point. If I'm going to be on my Series X with a disk drive and I'm still supporting the games coming out on Helix via my Series X, and if the adoption rate is probably going to be slow, we have analysts estimating Helix is going to be like 2 million versus PlayStation in its first year will be like 6 maybe. If you could cut that to like 3 and 5 based on this move with Helix, why wouldn't you do that to gain some ground? That's significant in my opinion. So I don't know why they wouldn't consider that is all I'm saying. And I think it is considered, but I would argue that there's a strong incentive to move on it with the lowered motivation for adoption rates because consumers feel abandoned. They feel like they're not being heard in more ways than one. There are some things that are kind of inevitable with pricing, but there are certain practices now that we see are taking place. And so if we have people in 2026 putting out apology posts about their PS4, Xbox One ports, and we see multiple examples of high-profile games finding value on that, many millions of people still playing on those systems, right? What do you think is going to happen when the adoption rate is even slower? Let me give you some math. First year of the PS5, 17 million. Amazing first year. Do you want to know what the estimates are right now for the PS5 to hit that number if it were to launch in 2028? It wouldn't be until 2030. So it's going to take them twice to arguably, based on the initial 1 year estimates, 3 times as long to get to what their first year was on the PS5. Do you really think that development teams are going to invest in exclusives for a base of 2 to 6 million people that's slowly gaining over time? I can't fucking fathom that, dude. So it's going to come down to the PS5. It's going to come down to the series consoles. Why, if you're PlayStation, I mean, I know they bank on exclusive software, but I think that hard turn away when so many people are like, I'll stay here, that hard turn away from physical games, doesn't really line up. If again, like I've always been that guy, day one adoption, but they're making a real compelling case to just stand pat.
Yeah.
So in all this, I hope I made my point clear. Like if this is the adoption rate we're seeing for a system that it's been sandwiched between two hard places, right? There was COVID. We got out of that. Regular ease of availability for a few years. Then Ramageddon. And we saw the prices start to jump, right? But in that pocket, we still saw PlayStation 5 sell over 90 million units. You know, there's a demand when it's affordable. So if it's going to be inaffordable and it's going to go against consumer demand, and we're seeing that there's data out there suggesting that developers will happily support old platforms and there's no one adopting the new ones because they're too expensive, then why are you abandoning physical games when a lot of people are still going to be playing on your PS5 and on your Series X?
I mean, you cook it.
I mean, I get it because the idea is like, oh, well, we'll get all those purchases from the PS5 on the storefront. Right. But now you've had people from 2020 buy their PS5 and that disk drive is just nothing now. So they bought the more expensive version.
To me, the tea leaf was how you got to look at the play. The play to me was not even PlayStation. They were slick to me. What they did was you got the marketing with Rockstar. You let Rockstar go out there first. You see what I'm saying? That was the play. When they did digital only in a box, GTA 6.
Terrible.
That was the play. Because they like, all right, how they respond to that? Okay. Because what to me, their thought process is we're gonna have some generational title that we're gonna lock it behind some generational title where we're gonna twist the screws to your fandom and we're gonna see. And everybody's like, yeah, we hate it, but we bought it. I see people like, hey, we hate it, but it's the most pre-orders. You see what I'm saying? So once I see that, then they said, okay, now we come through. You know what I'm saying? You sent out the scout, you sent out your number one scout. You sent them out there. You like, all right, how
it looks like an XCOM fight, like he's surveying the battlefield.
Set him out. Boom. Okay. Yeah, got him. Now we bring in the rest of the force through and we go seize the castle. I already saw what it was. So once I'm like, okay, that's it. Now to your point is this though. There's only few of those in the gaming industry. The GTAs, the Elder Scrolls, there's not many of those, right? Yeah. And then the other issue is, like you said, Fortnite single-handedly changed the gaming industry. Fortnite made people say, bro, I don't need a new console for this. I'm good where I'm at. That threw everything for a flux. And then you had the other Sinister Six live service, live-in games that were like, hey, and thus what happened is you see the developers panic. I'm seeing every developer, if you're mid to low fidelity and you could figure out a way to backport, we're gonna make that. Yeah, we're gonna make that PS4 and Xbox. I remember was Knock Rocker Playboy, Jedi Survive. I'm like, people still making PS4 and Xbox One versions. It
makes sense now. Yeah,
exactly. Some level and Switch One, right? Even some of the indies now, they're coming out on all the old. They're trying to maximize the most that they can because the adoption rates probably aren't where they were projected to be with the current, system. Absolutely. So you're making a good point. This could be, the thing that I would say the thing that they haven't accounted for, but they are fooling themselves if they think they're getting the adoption rate that they've had. So to me, the play has to be over monetize the existing base. As sad as it seems.
So bad, yeah.
That's the only way you do it. You know you ain't gonna grow it. So we got a nickel. And how you over monetize? Digital, no retail gonna get that money. No resale gonna get that money. No, that's what they doing. And I'm just like, it sucks. And
pay for your upgrade from PS5 to 6. Yeah, dude.
It's a cold corporate move. And sadly, I'm not here to defend PlayStation, but I can't see Xbox shy away, especially with the third place pro. Like you lucky somebody even wearing your jersey and happy to represent you. So it's just like it's a tough one, y'all. But you're cooking, and that's all I can hope for is that the balance of competition that they claim to be should make them want to take advantage of this misstep by your competitor. So
I would agree. I would happily talk to anybody at Xbox about this. I would sit down in a call with literally any leader at Xbox. I'll talk to Matt Booty and be like, listen, bro, like, let's go over this. You want me to champion you on all my shows? Here's your golden ticket.
Here's your chance.
Yeah. You guys really, like, there are people out there who's like, oh, he's such an Xbox fanboy. I'm like, get fucking real. But like, you want to hear me like absolutely gobbling them up, bro? A new Fallout game and physical games push. You watch out.
Ultimate W, yeah. PR for sure.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about an Xbox first-party studio that had a pretty tough time, and that was Obsidian Entertainment. There was a post by our man, Brandon Adler, who is a game director at Obsidian Entertainment. He also, for those who didn't know, directed The Outer Worlds 2 most recently. Put out a LinkedIn post that got a lot of attention. He wrote, "This has been an extremely difficult week at Obsidian. Not only have I had to say goodbye to some amazing game developers, but I've had to say goodbye to some of my best friends. I truly feel for every one of them. Know that if you are looking to hire one of these former Obsidian devs, you're hiring some of the best people around, both professionally and personally. Another difficult aspect is having to see a bunch of cold take artists come out of the woodwork to talk about what Obsidian is or what it isn't. The number of times I've seen people with no understanding of who has worked on our previous games or what they contributed talk about Obsidian isn't who they used to be is staggering. Most of the time, they are not just wrong, but spreading an enormous amount of misinformation. In most circumstances, the people in lead or director roles are the same people that worked on games like The Outer Worlds, Pillars of Eternity, and New Vegas. Like literally the same people. That through line from KOTOR 2 to our games is pretty clear. Is Obsidian the same as it was 20 years ago? No, of course not. Nothing stays the same. But the DNA at Obsidian is the same as it always was. The same DNA that created KOTOR, New Vegas, Neverwinter Nights 2, and Stick of Truth. I'm extremely proud of our history, and I'm also excited for who we have become. Just remember, when you were seeing people spouting off about Obsidian, running their mouths about who we are now versus what we were then, you were listening to someone crow about, I like these words, crow about something with zero insight into how a game is made and how or who contributed to our previous games. Brandon Adler's spitting right now. How are we feeling?
Talking. I like Adler. I like Adler a lot. The few interactions I've had, I got the sense of a person who's extremely passionate about video games. And one thing that I really took from him is that he understands why people love Obsidian in the first place. And I got the sense from him is I got that young dog energy. We taking it back to the essence. We think y'all forgot who we are. Let me remind y'all who we are, kind of thing. And I think it started with, the Outer Worlds in terms of, they knew to some of the criticisms, right? And they knew as far as like past games and stuff like that, or whatever the Avowed situation, as far as the choice of consequence, they knew what they had to do. And in defense of the Avowed, we know that development history, but this is not about Avowed. This is about Brandon. And I got the sense from him that like, you haven't seen anything yet. We got more things cooking. That was the vibe I got from him.
Mm.
So the fact that he came out to say this statement, especially in the line of all, the layoffs and people were like, oh, 25% of your studio. And then now people are like, not some, majority of people I think are like, yo, we're happy. Fallout is going to that. So I think but for whoever was saying something, this is a G check. Somebody was saying something. Somebody doing too much talking, and he ain't like it. Because I was like, yo, he outside. I haven't really seen this from them, and him specifically. So, kudos to him. I'm biased.
Take artist is like hilarious. Like that's like when like it wasn't just like a just to clear the air. It was more like a man, fuck whoever's saying this.
Like you don't know what the F you talk about. Like it was that kind of energy. I'm like, oh, I haven't seen a good G check in a minute. Like, so I'm biased. I'm biased, yes, for sure. You know what I'm saying? This is one of my favorite studios. Yes, I love the brain trust in there. We're going to talk about other things that people are saying that's going on in there. But kudos to him. At the end of the day, he's passionate about what he does. I think they're a fantastic studio, and they don't deserve all the smoke that they get. I feel sometimes, and a lot of times, some of the stuff that wasn't even their fault, to be honest with you, kind of thing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to what he got. Shout out to Brandon. Shout out to the team. And let's see what they do, man. I'm excited for Obsidian in the future. I'm just more excited overall that yes, they hit with 25%. No one liked that, but I like the fact that he's like, yo, we still them, and don't get it twisted. Like it's a lot of. I like when people say, I'm proud about what we're doing here. When you get that in the studio, unlike other studios,
Yeah.
Unlike other studios we may have mentioned previously, when people come out and say, yo, you would love to see that from other studios, like, yo, what you heard is nonsense. This is what's going on. I like that energy. So, it is what it is. So shout out to the team.
And what he said is pretty supported because Avalon actually went through and made a list.
Okay, yes.
And he made a list of about 73 developers that worked on New Vegas. 16 still work there and in key roles. He also mentions that Tim Kaine and Leonard Boyarsky are big pluses. So it does come to support what Adler says, which is that in leadership positions and senior roles, that New Vegas squad is still there. The support talent, which is really the majority of the team, is obviously different, which is what Adler was trying to say here. In the case of a Fallout video game, that's more important than ever, of course.
Yes, a lot of pressure.
To what Adler said, though, I mean, I do mostly agree. I mean, to me, I think Obsidian, released one game I didn't like, and that was Avowed. And I've had strong words on it, but I think that, it should be clear, like, that doesn't really devalue everything else they've done. And I mean, for me, it's been since KOTOR 2. It's that game. It's, of course, New Vegas. Alpha Protocol was a fun one. That's definitely a very, very flawed game, though. I get why people call that one ass.
Oh, that's your vibe. Oh, you have a flawed game? Wow, that's great.
No,
that's
I'm
great.
not saying that. I'm not defending
awesome.
it, the best combat in the industry and that sort of stuff. I'm not saying that. I know Alpha Protocol is mid. Now, with this in mind, South Park Stick of Truth, another great one. They went through their Pillars of Eternity and Tyranny bag. That's where they lost me a little bit, but because at that time, I was not into CRPGs. I was late to that one. But really, all in all, when I look at their company history, I mean, like, when they've given me my first person RPGs, I've enjoyed them pretty much all the way through. So I do agree with the kind of idea that, like, they have been the same studio for a while. I do think that also admits that's the problem for a lot of people. I like that about Obsidian. All reliable. But I think a lot of people are like, this is the team that, established a gameplay archetype in 2010 and has never evolved it. And I think that's fair to say. I like my first person RPGs, but, like, they really haven't changed that from that Bethesda formula. There's also the little brother aspect of it. Like, here's Bethesda Game Studios, and they're basically doing a bigger version of what you're doing now. You do them in hubs, they do them in worlds. And that worked in Bethesda's favor for a while. So there are things that I think kind of what he's saying here support people's criticisms of, like, yeah, like, your writers are worse because they're not the same set of talent. And, I'm being balanced here. Like, I'm happy with Obsidian for the most part. Yeah. But I think that the senior talent that's there is exactly who you want to be there, especially if they're going to handle a Fallout game. The supporting talent's a different story. They've lost their, Megan Starks, their Carrie Patels, they've lost that type of key, like, I mean, they were senior level and leadership level. So them going was terrible. People like Adler, who's maybe not as well known until Outer Worlds 2, has been there almost 20 years. Matthew Singh, 18 years, I think. Like, a lot of these people have been there for a long while. Obsidian does have a lot of long tenured employees.
Boyarsky.
Boyarsky for sure. Like, and again, for me, that's what I care about. It's like, oh, they're making a Fallout game, and here's Fergus Urquhart, here's Tim Kaine, here's Leonard Boyarsky, here's John Gonzalez, and here's Josh Sawyer, all in the same building, all as leaders. Cool.
Facts. Don't sleep on my young buck,
I think,
though.
right now, all we need to care about.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, not too much. I want to give kudos though. I like Marcus Morgan. He doesn't have the tenure, but we're gonna see what Grounded 2 what it do. I like what they got going on over there. Look, the key, if I'm being objective, take my bias out of it. Y'all know how I feel about the Black Rock. The thing that is eluding them is what I would consider the critical IP smash.
Yes.
It's undeniable, right? When you go, oh my God, right? That's what's missing. And I think it just comes down to part of it is them recognizing their scope and wanting to stay in that scope and not go too big and stuff like that. The other part of it is the little brother factor for sure, right? But I also think, like, that's why the Fallout announcement is so special, is because we see what happens when they get a big IP and they get that, that's what we need to see. That's what you see the South Park sticker tree, you see the New Vegas, you see the KOTOR. When they've got the big IP behind them, is different. Now, to their credit, they're versatile. They could create something brand new from scratch and in different genres and still pop. But it's harder with the new IP. It's harder when you make something on your own that doesn't have that familiarity, that pop culture. Don't fall out on them. Now, granted, it's pressure for sure, but I got confidence in Josh. like people, like, I think that's one of the next ups. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
he's been doing it for a minute. And in terms of writing, oh boy. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm at with it. And, they still got to prove it for the people who, have trepidation, or whatever. But I like their chances. That's just where I'm at with it.
I do too. And I think for those who are still against Obsidian, my very rude take would just be, do you want Bethesda doing it right now? With where they're at as a team and their release cadence, do you really, like, that's the only other option you got. So I think you've really got best case scenario here on all levels. We'll see what ends up being here, right? It's always a chance no matter who
of course
the team is. But last directed Josh Sawyer game was the one that was getting 9s and 10s. That was critically acclaimed. It just wasn't a commercial darling.
Exactly.
It was just critical. But if anyone's played games like Pentiment, that's what I've realized in all of this is when I've been streaming every Tuesday and Friday for a while. And obviously these last few weeks have been just a dominant conversation about Bethesda, Obsidian, Xbox, what's going on with all these companies. I've realized a lot of people haven't played recent Obsidian games. And I think that's understandable because a lot of people feel like they've played them before. But I had someone who wrote in one time, I don't mean to single this person out, but they were like, Obsidian should just like make a game that has the tools of New Vegas. It's got the traits. It's got the skill checking. It's got the conversation system. It's got the first person shooting. I'm like, oh, the Outer Worlds 2.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's as well written. It's got its moments for sure, I feel. But the Outer Worlds 2 has every system that built New Vegas. I mean, say what you will about Obsidian, and I get it. But when they said that game flopped, I feel it mostly in the conversation because I'm like, oh, everyone's asking for a thing that they've already made.
Right.
The Outer Worlds 2 has the traits, the way leveling up works, the way skill checking works, the way dialogue works, like the insane amount of loot that the game has, the fact that it's first person and third person, like the radio.
Combat.
It literally takes all, you can tell that Adler and Singh were like, yo, we love Fallout. Like we want to give people that same feeling. And I do feel this would have resonated more with people if Xbox didn't fucking shoot a loaded gun into their foot with the $80 game. I'm not trying to oversell it to people because, again, I always say the front half of Outer Worlds 2, you'll be like, this shit's excellent. I genuinely think that is some of their best stuff. The second half's just like, it's pretty good. If it finished strong, though, oh my word. But my point being is that I think a lot of people haven't checked this game out. And I think if you've not, and same thing goes for Pentiment. Pentiment's a phenomenal video game. Phenomenal game. And that did not sell well either. So a lot of people are talking about Obsidian. I don't think I've played anything other than New Vegas. And I get it. It's their most popular game. It's also affordable. But like, if you play Pentiment, if you play not Grounded, Outer Worlds 2, I think you will. I'm not going to say you're going to go full send like confidence, but you'll get where people like Cog and I are coming from who have played all of their things. And we're like, hey, it's not a guarantee, but they've got a good shot, man. They really do. And a lot of the shit that went wrong with their team, will just say, those people are gone.
Right.
So there's also that element to it all. So that's where I stand on it, man. Like, I don't blame Adler for popping off. He's probably like, but I think the best thing they can do now, if I'm honest with him, don't talk. Do not. This is the same thing that chewed up another person at your team.
Right.
Was like, you got going with the mouth and you kept going. And you just got to let your game speak for itself.
That part.
And that's it. And I think he knows that better than anyone, but they just got to like, okay, this is from deep. This is a shot from not in the quarter yet where like you're dribbling up the court and you're like, it's avowed time. What can I say to bury this thing? Right. Like, let's avoid that. Like, let's, if you get your bars out, now's a good time to do it. Yeah. But I just don't want Obsidian to sink their own ship, bro.
we also got to the climate of the announcement is also, remember, people were under the impression that they are not Obsidian anymore because they have lost that 25%. And what we're seeing is some of the studios in the midst of the quote unquote bloodbath say, hey, over here we're still good, like we still believe it. And I think from the reassuring the public and the investigative reporters, hey, we're still good over here, because a lot of people, what's that ship of thesis thing where it's like, are you even the same studio anymore?
Yeah,
and I think he really wanted to get that point across. But to your point, after this, I don't want to see, I agree, I don't need to see Adler keep on coming outside and keep on saying stuff after that.
Yeah.
I agree. You said your one, you said your piece,
Yeah.
and you move on. But I feel you.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep rolling here. We got a couple more hits to go through. Here's one specifically for you and I. Xbox's Assassin's Creed. Can you guess what it was supposed to be? The best 900p game of all time, baby. Ryse, Son of Rome. What would have been? Let's go through this in an interview with IGN, speaking to former Crytek employees, and dive into an alternate route that Cog and I could have experienced where we would have been two happiest people on this earth. This is from Insider Gaming. They write, in a new interview, former Crytek employees revealed that the Ryse sequels were never formally canceled by Microsoft. In a conversation with IGN, former Crytek employees who wished to remain anonymous revealed several details about the Ryse series, including plans for future projects, settings they were considering, and other details. However, the devs also revealed how work on these future projects eventually stopped. The report reveals that when Ryse was pitched as a franchise, the response Crytek received from Microsoft was that this is the most cohesive and well-thought IP pitch they had ever seen. And of course it is, bro. Like, you and I know. This game is so good. Ryse sequels were never formally canceled either, the employee revealed. However, when the original game failed to make a mark critically or commercially, that's y'all's fault, not theirs, work on the game and other games stopped. It is worth noting the developers had to cut a lot of content from the original game to meet the launch deadline. Now, work on other Ryse projects just isn't happening, as Crytek has refused to sell the IP to Microsoft, and the Xbox maker doesn't want to finance a franchise whose rights it doesn't own. Additionally, Crytek doesn't want to work on projects owned by someone else, hence why we are not getting any new Ryse projects. Dude, like, Asha can just, Cog, imagine this world. We got a greenlit Fallout. Physical games are back on the menu, and a new Ryse game is here, baby. This is a pretty torturous read for people like us who like really love this game. I didn't know there was so much more planned. I was like, oh, it's a little launch game. I got a little memories with that, but like, it was a great foundation. It was basically Xbox's Order 1886. That's how people kind of describe it. I think it's a great descriptor for it. It's like, yeah, all these great ideas. It's got a little bit of heart in it by the end where you're like, fuck, man, like if they actually did this again, this could go somewhere special. You know, the complaints are very clear, like the QTE driven combat. Maybe we do something a little bit more organic. Yes. But man, dude, just to know this was the pitch. Where do you get the Assassin's Creed in this? Do you think they were just going to go like make action games in different time periods? Do you think that was the idea? But and just in general, how do you feel about this news, man? I was so bummed reading this.
Oh, bro, this is so painful, man. There's games that come along and you like when you at the launch of a console that truly gets you excited about the future of the platform. And I'm like, I remember it, like I said, people were complaining about the Xbox One digital stuff. And I'm like, granted, bro, they dropped the ball. That was crazy. But like I said, I've always been honest about this. From a launch perspective, when I watched the Xbox One launch showcase versus the PlayStation 4's, I was like, that joint, like that Dead Rise, I was like, Ryse, Son of Rome, sign me up. I was like, I am in. I remember when they were on the boat and they were storming the beach, I was like, this is next gen to me. You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, yes, was it graphical eye candy? Yes. Was it a lot of QTEs? Absolutely. But you saw the foundational thing. See, that's my thing. I see the diamonds in the rough, unlike others. I see where I go, yo, you got a little flaw here and there, but you got something special. And with the right, as you could say, they left stuff out. There was stuff on the cutting floor. See, the development process probably was tough. Remember, it was a launch game. You've got a lot of pressure. But from a fidelity standpoint, that's what I learned. CryEngine, and we learned with Kingdom Come Deliverance, right?
Yeah.
Bro, that engine, and I get mad that I'm like, Everybody can't get this off of Crytek. Like, what's up? And then y'all not doing anything with it. So I'm just like, okay, you don't want Microsoft to do it. You keep it out, but you ain't doing that with the IP your damn self. So that's my
Mm.
thing. And then when I see like I did hear rumors they were trying to do like, the Assassin's Creed thing where it's kind of like different timelines from it, right? So I think one of them was actually, I think Boudica was one potentially as another timeline or something like that, even though she was in the first ride. But the story of, was it Marius Titus, I believe his name was, amazing, man. And
Mm.
I remember watching the Vidocs on that game, and I was just blown away. So yeah, this hurts. And it still hurts because we can't even get the damn backward compatible version of this because apparently it's some, from what I've heard, it's some technical issue that they need, and I guess that they need to get from Crytek, and it sucks, man. This
Yeah.
is just a situation.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
sucks, bro. Like
Yeah.
I hate stuff
I
like
didn't realize
this.
you were this close. That's the thing. I didn't realize it's like, oh, it's a little squabble holding this up. I'm like, dude, this is like could be a next Ninja Gaiden 4 moment. Figure it out.
I will say this. Ashishara and team. Being that you're very good at like figuring out, political drama when it comes to getting big IPs greenlit
Mm.
and getting the right people. Man, what a PR win this would be for
Oh,
those
the essence
fans.
of Xbox, you think?
Bro, if you want to talk about the essence and the rebellious spirit, this is a game that a lot of people put their faith behind the brand and were hoping that this would be the start of a new IP and a new series.
Yeah.
So if you want to somehow get in the room, get Crytek in the room and Xbox in the room, man, this would be a great PR win, boy. You'd get a lot of people on your side for sure. But I'm just saying. But yeah,
W's are ready. Just take them. We're just
easy
giving them to you.
W's. What?
All right. This next one, Cog, really bittersweet moment here. Glen Schofield has officially announced that he is retiring from making games. He posted a about 4-minute video on his LinkedIn profile, and he was just thanking fans, colleagues. He was thanking EA for the support. This got me emotional, dude. I love what Glen's brought to the industry, man. Like, I was always very anti horror games growing up, not because they were bad, but because I was just a fraidy cat, dude. Like, I just couldn't do it. So games like Resident Evil, I passed on. Silent Hill I remember seeing the covers of Silent Hill and like the very distorted look of the characters. Like as a kid, I remember seeing that in Walmart, be like freaking out. Like I was such a bitch. But there was one game that looked so cool that captured such a unique visual with its seamless UI and just brutality and gore and putting power in your hands, that despite all the fear, I would play this game during the daytime with the windows open and the lights on.
Lights on.
Because that's the most I could do. And that game was Dead Space. This is a man that's responsible for 2 survival horror games that made me get over it. Because even after Dead Space, I was like, yeah, I love Dead Space. I'm not touching the rest of y'all. And Dead Space 2, same deal. I always remember like people remember there's a part in Dead Space 2, I believe it's chapter 5, where you're like crawling through a vent and you get yanked out of it out of fucking nowhere. And that's like one of my it's that and BioShock Infinite that are 2 of the worst jump scares that have ever got me. But I pushed on through that because this is a man who's made some incredible games. He's gone on to pioneer some Call of Duty games. And then he came back and he did Callisto Protocol. And, look, I was not a fan of Callisto Protocol, but it's also to many people considered a good game and massively overhated. I just want to congratulate him on an incredible career and just say like, thank you for making me love survival horror. Everyone knows me as the RPG guy, but like survival horror is my second baby. I always say like, that's the other kid in the family, man. Like I adore survival horror and it's done so much for me. It's where I think the best stories in gaming currently lie. It's brought me into series that I adore nowadays, like a Silent Hill, like a Resident Evil. And that would not have happened without Dead Space, which still Dead Space 1 remains my favorite survival horror game of all time. So I just wanted to thank Glen for his work. And I was just, I welled up a bit watching his video because I was like, man, like we're seeing an overturn. We're living through it. And this is why it's such a weird time in our industry, because people are more angry than ever at corporate, and rightfully so. And with that, a lot of that's being passed on to the devs, and a lot of legends are nearing the end of their career and moving on. We've had some taken from us, like, oh my God, I'm blanking on his name. I feel so,
Which one? What company?
Vince Zampella. I
Oh,
couldn't,
oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Jesus, I'm sorry.
No, no, you're
And
good. You're good.
and now we have someone stepping down in Glen Schofield. And like
Yeah.
we're seeing from my generation that overturn of like these minds
Hell
where
yeah.
I've talked about very casually, for example, I'm like, yo, Todd might be done with the way things are moving at Xbox. Like I could see a world
I can see
where
it
he's just
too.
not in it long term. And
Mhm.
it's easy to talk about, but when it starts to become real, you're like, that's someone who like formed core memories for me
Hell yeah.
with their team. And without them, who would I be? And so I think about that stuff a lot. So just wanted to thank Glenn for his work. And it's just been hitting me. It's like, man, like we're starting to see like, it's exciting stuff. Like we're seeing indies rise up. We're seeing people like Guillaume Broche, like just getting started, and that's amazing. But the people who really define a big part of our industry are starting to go, man.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad he got to go out on his own terms, but, bittersweet to say the least.
Yeah, I agree. Well said. Obviously, I came late to the game to Glenn's work, but I just love the outcry that I saw from the community for him. You know,
Yeah.
it truly represented how much this man is loved in the industry. I didn't get a chance to see the video, but I saw Dean Takahashi's interview that he must have had with him before, it was, written in it, and it was deep, bro. And he
Really?
went. I'll try to get it to you.
Oh, I see it
He
here.
yeah, yeah, he talked, man, and he talked about the development cycle. And one thing that stood out to me was, you know, for his first game was like a Barbie game, and he was just like, and then it was like the game actually was lit. Like it ended up like really performing and seeing his journey. And then the theme throughout his story that I got from him was how much he loves making video games. They put him on all these different franchises, and he did well, but his whole thing was like, at some point, he was like, I just want autonomy. I just want to make my own game. And that's when your baby came out of it. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And just talk about the development process and everything, and how him and his team put that together, and how they're just so proud. He thanked the fans. It's such a well done interview. And you get the emotionality from him. You get the and you could tell he has some feelings about the Callisto thing, but he was honest, and he said that, like, about he said it was actually one of the hardest developments ever. And then obviously the COVID factor, he really
Yeah.
put some
Seeing
real
that right
life,
now.
yeah, real life, passion and nuance behind development. And those are the stories I like, because we as gamers, we don't know everything, man. We don't know how hard these things have been for these devs to try to get out there. But he never once badmouthed the fans. He still
No,
he,
dude. Never.
yeah.
That's such a good point. Never once. Never once.
Even when things that maybe I looked at like that would have been unfair to me if I might have said something. He's like, nope, never. And I was just like, you know what? Kudos to him, man. He gets to
Yeah.
ride off, and again, another luminary in our industry. And I felt like it was time for him, and he wants to go on to the next chapter of his life. So
That's
salute to the
literally what he
legend.
said. Yeah,
Yeah,
he said, "I took some time off after finishing Callisto, which was extremely hard development because of COVID. We worked through it. It was the hardest development of my life. I didn't think anything could be harder than Lord of the Rings, but that one was. During that time, I've always been painting and drawing and doing all that stuff, but I picked up sculpting, I'm painting, I'm drawing. As I'm thinking during this, I'm like, I don't know if I can do the day-to-day anymore. I had gotten in shape. I was losing weight. My purpose was to be in shape to go do the next game. I just had back surgery a couple months ago. I realized that as I get older, I'm not going to have the stamina. I don't think it's not necessarily that, but I think my time is, I've had a great time. I've had a fantastic career. It seems like an inflection point in the industry, a time for the new generation to emerge and do their thing. And I see a lot of my peers retiring too.
mm,
I don't know, man. I mean, I think for those of us who are like enthusiasts, like that hits. I don't know. Like a lot of us who are like deep in it, like we know these names and they're getting there, man.
yeah,
Give it a few
yeah,
more years. It's
yeah.
it's going to be tough, I think.
I agree.
And that's why this junior talent rising up is important. It's not maybe happening in the best way. Again, I look at like what's happening at Xbox, and I said like a lot of junior talents coming up, and we'll see what kind of chops they've got. But this is like the overturn of a generation right now,
Yeah.
and he's really emblematic of that. So
Absolutely. Well
Yeah.
said. And one thing too he pointed out that was a dope read was how like the artists back in the day were almost the game designers. And he said they had so much control just being an artist and like you wore multiple hats and stuff as opposed
Oh,
to how it
dude.
is now. It's
Why a lot of people are trying to get out of AAA. Like we've had people from AAA come to our team and they're like stunned by the amount of flexibility. They're like, like it starts off like we have to break down the AAA armor is how I call it. Like
mm,
they come in thinking like it's one thing. And I'm like, no, you can touch this and you can do this and you can do that. And they're like, really? Like, okay. Like, yeah,
yes.
it's AAA is such a different beast. I try to tell people it's like you get one thing in this giant machine. Whereas like now with smaller teams, you can establish across an entire department. So yeah, what he says is like, I think what a lot of devs want, it's why this will be part of some project they do down the line, but I interviewed Nate Perkypile,
Mm,
who was a lead designer at Bethesda, and he talked about basically exactly that like a lot of the AAA cycle had put him more in meetings and managing
mm,
people than art and creating. And he talked about how like sometimes they would get in and level design even though they were creating the pieces for it, and they'd be playing the game more, and like that was the job, and that's a very
mm,
gratifying job versus just like sitting in meetings managing people, then sitting in more meetings, and that burns you out. And so that's why he and a bunch of other people like fled BGS. Like it's a very common
yeah,
thing, man. So
yeah.
Glenn speaking the truth there.
The legend.
Last topic before we get into what games we're playing. People are truly backlog gaming like crazy. Check this one out. Steam's record-breaking $11 billion profit in the first half of 2026 was actually funded by mostly older games, according to data aggregated by Alinea Analytics. So in their 22-year history, the $11 billion that they made in the last 6 months is the most profitable they've ever been. And it's thanks to mostly older games. Here's IGN's breakdown. They say, in fact, 21% of purchases from January to June were for titles released in 2026. That means a whopping 79% of games bought by players were from 2025 and older. And this trend has only been increasing in recent years, with just 29% of the 2024 revenue coming from games that year, and 27% in 2025 from that year's titles. Think about that a little bit. Isn't that a crazy stat? This is why a lot of games, it's so surprising when they give up early, because they must run completely off projections, I imagine, internally of like what a thing's going to do. But a lot of games, like I think of Remedy's games, they clearly, I think, scale their game success over the course of a year. Like when they budget it out, they're like, here's what we think it's going to do over that next year. And I know other companies do this, but I feel like they plan their successes and failures around that more than others, because there are games like Control, which people are like, oh man, it came out and it really didn't make noise, and it didn't. But
Mhm.
over time, it gained more and more sales. And then you start to get the figures coming in and they're like, yeah, we're profitable on that now.
Mm,
And it takes a little bit more time for them, because I think they know with their games, year one doesn't sell well and people come around to it later. A lot of companies, obviously, I mean, every company has to plan around like where our sales beat's going to be. Like, okay, we're starting at like this price. When do we want to go down this price? I remember one of the indie devs, I think it was for No More Robots. We interviewed them for Duke Ultimate, and they talked about how strategic pricing is so important, right? Because like there is sort of that you want to get the most appealing price, but also when you go on sale, you don't want to be underselling yourself. And obviously what catches people during a Steam sale is when you see like, oh shit, 25% off. Like that's a big,
mhm.
because you can afford to be 25% off because you priced it high enough in the first place. Where if you're
Right,
like, oh, the lowest we can only go is like $25, but you're a $30 game,
right.
then that's not that big of a discount. That doesn't pull people in. So I don't know, just food for thought on this, but I thought it was interesting to see if people are in a completely different gaming cycle, and that less than a quarter of purchases this year on Steam, new games coming out this year. That's crazy to think about. So put that in your pipe and smoke at PlayStation. How about that?
I hear you, man. Yeah, it goes to show you the buying habits, and also, at the time of release, there's just so many games and so many choices, and they're
Yeah.
games that people really are interested in, but can't do it at that time. And then that sale comes around, whether it be 6 months, a year later, whatever, and it's the right time, and then thus, people are completely invested in picking this stuff up, and it goes back
Mhm.
to the cross generational thing as well too. So there's a lot of this going on as well. So yeah, this is interesting data, man. It goes to show you, yeah, there's still a market there for it.
Absolutely. All right, Cog, shall we get into what games we are playing this
Yes,
week?
sir. Yes, sir.
Hit me with it. You got an interesting lineup once more.
Yeah, man. So it is time. Y'all know how I do. Shout out to 11-Bit Studios, man. They made one of my favorite games last year. I love the
Mm,
Altars with all of my heart. That is a COG game through and through. Beat it,
indeed.
completed it. So much fun. And it was interesting because I did hear they were doing DLC. And I was like, okay, how are they going to do it? This game got multiple endings. And I was like, how are they going to tackle that? So it's called The Last Variable. Um, Hilariously,
Mhm.
it starts off with one of my favorite altars. And my favorite altar is the scientist. Because the
Mm,
scientist is the most disrespectful, pragmatic. I don't care about your feelings. We need to get this done. I don't care if dudes are starving. Like when you had him in the first game as one of your altars, he's the best. Like he's just
mm,
so direct. And again, shout out to my man Alex Jordan, voiced like 11 characters, right? All with distinct vocal inflections, and it's just amazing writing and storytelling. So basically, what has happened, I'm not going to spoil too much for those because you guys should have played the first one and you need to beat it. But what they did, it's all good, man. I know you got some tough stuff going on. But what I will say is this: what they did is say, okay, one of the endings they've made canon for this DLC, right?
mm,
And basically, what they're saying is one alter stayed behind, which is the scientist. But what makes this dope is a lot of ethical things that they are tackling and a lot of AI stuff that they're tackling. So
mm,
basically, what if you made a replica of yourself to figure out one of the great mysteries in the world? It's the theory of continuum. And it's so well written and done. And you're on this planet now where you're like, okay, there's this anomaly happening. We need to figure out why only in this part of this planet is this Eden-like paradise with this tremendous growth and there's this all this stuff going on, but the rest of the stuff is barren. And
mm,
what they've done with the gameplay loop now is before you had this rolling base, right? And you had to like, escape this guy. You had to do stuff. There's base management, there's exploration and so on stuff. Now it's underground, right? And what the thing that he has done is he's like, okay, the problem with the altars last time is that I made different versions. The original Jean, the builder, makes different versions of himself at different timelines of his life where I diverge. The scientist said, nah, screw that. We ain't doing that because those guys are difficult to work with. I'm the prototype timeline. I'm the prototype person as a scientist. So I'm going to make an altar of myself from all different scientific professions. So
mm.
you got Jan, the chemist, Jan, you know what I'm saying? The biologist, Jan, the physicist. Bro, he think it's sweet. It creates more problems, and it's hilarious. Then they got a AI that he's created, his former self called Yanbot.
Oh no.
Yanbot is the best. You want to talk about this AI that's trying to direct you into stuff that it has these personality quirks that are hilarious. So pretty much what it is now. The new gameplay loop is this. This planet, you go out there, you try to figure out these secrets of what's going on. You try to do your resource management, you try to do your builder, but here's the new gameplay loop. The gameplay loop is now every 12 to 14 days, everything that you built in structure, there's basically the deadly sun comes, eradicates everything that you've built. The
Oh, nice.
only thing that stays is what's in the oasis section of the map.
Mm,
So your goal is to figure out why is this place from an anomaly standpoint behaving the way it is. And then once you start to figure it out, how can we extend this and figure out what's going on here? I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm like 8 hours in and I'm like, I can't get enough of this game.
I love that.
It's a slow burn. I will say this though. I do not recommend this for anyone who did not play the first one. Even though you can play the last variable standalone, to me, this is for an experienced alters player because
Mm,
you've got
been
to
there,
be
done
on
that.
it.
Yeah.
Resources low. Okay, what I'm going to do for organics. Okay, cool. Now the alters are acting up. Okay, we got to build them something so that people can behave things, do their job. People will flip it out. It's more intense. The stakes are higher, And it really requires you to understand the mechanics of the game on a deep level so that you're always ahead. Then you always got those wild variables. Magnetic storm came, come in, destroy the base, do these type of things to equipment and stuff like that. But this is, man, some of the best writing. I thought this was going to be a small thing, to be honest. I did not. I would say like the first altars was split into 3 acts. Each was subsequent, I would say about 8, let's say 6 to 8 hours, each depending on how well you are, how well you do. This is probably like it feels like 1 or 2 big acts. And I feel like the actual map, even though it was like maybe 3 in the first game, this is a big substantial first map. So yeah, I would highly recommend it. I think right now the key is going to be how they land the plane with the ending. I felt the first one, chef's kiss, choice of consequence, real thing, and ultimate replayability. You know, I'm curious to see because obviously there's new alters, new stuff, and I want to know where they go with the scientists. And they do reference the original Jan, the build, and everything that's going on there. So yeah, alters DLC, the last variable, highly recommend. If you missed out on the first game, please pick this game. This game is one of my gems. It truly is. I love this game. And if Alex Jordan does not win anything this year, or does not get a nomination for this performance, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be riot in the streets. This man is a savant. I've never seen anything. Just distinct, like one person doing 12. I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, nothing like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, I've been doing that. Still been doing my This Is the Police, my Freeburg. I'm gonna start. You know, what I'm gonna start doing. I'm gonna start sending you clips of the game,
please,
because the writing is so hilarious. I can't get enough of this. It is like you read something like as far as a call or something that you got to address, and I pause the game and I literally laugh out loud. I'm like, this is the wild elderly man running obscene naked in the parking lot or what. I had 2 cops sent to a strip club where the strippers was fighting, and then like, someone pulled out a gun, and then it's choice of consequence. Each step, okay, what do? Do you throw water, get the Patriots to throw water on the strippers to do that? Do you sneak in? Like, yo, there was one where it's a report of a car stolen. And again, all your officers have levels of professionalism, rank, and all types of stuff, factors that they got to deal with. So sometimes I try to pair like a high professional one with a low one just in case. But it's not over. Just because you send someone that's great for the job, you also have choice and consequences for how you respond. And those could go left, where it's like, oh, stolen car, you see where the car is at. Do you sneak around? And somebody can get killed based on the wrong choice or stuff like that. Or offender got away, stuff like that. But where it really gets deep is the investigations. This is true. If you a gumshoe, if you got gumshoe in you, where it's like, okay, so pretty much it's simple, but it's fun. So they'd be like, you know, Maddie was murdered. On the thing, he got gunned down in front of his home. So they showed a picture of Maddie spread out, blood out, right? Then it'd be like, okay, so you send your detectives to the scene, and now, depending on the detective's professionalism, let's say it's a 4-picture sequence from the day Maddie was shot to then you have the eyewitness accounts. So we saw Maddie. He was somebody. The guy up the street guy was always beefing with Maddie. We think it's that guy that did him, and he don't like him. Right?
He's a bad fan.
Yeah, you got all these. Then some people you could tell they lying, or they'd be like, drunk person said. You know what I'm saying? So based on all this information, then you give it a couple of days based on your investigators. Then they form pictures, right, of what they think this crime scene and how it could have happened. You've got to put the pictures in the correct sequence, and bro, it's awesome. And then like if you
very Danganronpa almost.
Yeah, and then it's not over. Then when you solve it, right? Then now it's not over. Once you identify the correct subject and all that, then you send your people over. And again, depending on the offers you send or whatever, you cannot, if it's a highly dangerous individual, you cannot apprehend them. So it's still not over. But it's like, then you got that, you got crimes, you got gang syndicate. Bro, I'm just gonna send you stuff. My new thing, because I think if you sleep, I'm just gonna send you the clips of what I'm playing, and it is still some of the best writing and best voice acting I have ever played. So I'm doing my second run of This Is the Police.
Got my inbox. Go ahead. Hit my line.
Got you. And that's it. And then third, obviously, I put it on Twitter. I just can't talk about it. But obviously, yes, I am playing Halo Campaign Evolved.
Mhm.
and I will be able to talk about it freely. You know, say
Mhm.
in about a week. You know, next week we should be able to talk about it freely. But yes, the realm is playing, and we can't wait to talk, see what changes, what things have gone on. So that's been it right now. I'm back living my best life with all my games.
Yeah, same. I am playing Halo as well. It actually times out well where when the reviews go out, we'll be able to post our episode. So we'll be talking about it next week. So you can look forward to that.
Yes.
My week has been interesting in the world of gaming. So I'm still playing GTA 3. I'll save that for a retro rebound video, but I got a lot to say on that game. I need a little bit of a reprieve before I finish that up, either tonight or tomorrow. It's just, yeah,
Okay.
the missions, guys. It's an
Eh,
old video game,
It's
it's,
old. Yeah.
I'm not gonna destroy it or anything, but it's destroyed me. So, um, yeah, I'm looking forward to playing more current GTA games, but
Mhm.
I'm glad I'm getting it under my backlog belt here. I would have gone on a curious little puppy otherwise. So,
Mhm.
we'll talk October, November about my experience with this game. The other two games I've been playing, I wanted to talk about. One, I wanted to pick up from last week, Amori. I've been
Mm.
playing that a little bit here and there on my Switch. Um, Creepy game, man.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not really quite sure where we're going with it all. Um, like that's why I said I thought I'd have even more to share this week, but I just wanted to kind of give you all the play by play. Like I'm about 5 hours in
Mhm.
and some creepy stuff has happened. It's very story led where I don't want to spoil it, but like I was surprised I got a little jump scare out of it. I was like, oh shit,
Mm,
okay.
okay.
Yeah. Um, I'm noticing the themes. Like
Mhm.
the character you're playing as is in black and white. Everyone else around you is very colorful. You also happen to carry a knife with you and stab things.
Oh, that's
Yeah, there's a lot of themes that are floating around here.
mhm.
A lot of mysteries to be solved as well. And there are these altering realities that you're also contending with where the game really puts you in a kind of we're gonna fuck with the player kind of mode. And I love that I really don't know fully what's going on here. So Amori has been a fun turn-based RPG. Um, it's got a cool follow-up attack system in combat. So you got like all these characters in their respective corners, and then you could spend your energy on follow-up attacks. So you can like pass over to Ken or Hero. Um, and they'll do like one of their own follow-up attacks after you've like hit a weak point or something. So pretty cool combat system. The skills themselves and how a lot of your damage is based around emotions, I think is a really cool factor too. Like you can make enemies sad, and if they're sad, I believe they take more damage. Or I think it's if they're angry, they take more damage, but they deal more damage. Like there's a little bit of a new way of thinking about status effects in Amori because it's all based around emotions. So very
Interesting.
strange video game for sure, but I'm digging it thus far.
Okay.
And I'm excited to learn even more. It reminds me of games a little bit like, say, Undertale, where it's very emotionally led and the message isn't immediately clear,
Mhm.
and the story isn't immediately clear. It kind of reminds me a little bit of that feeling.
Mm.
So I'm looking forward to unpacking this more, but it's definitely been my 1 hour bedtime
Yeah.
game, that sort of thing. So we'll be chipping through that. You'll hear an update in probably a couple of weeks on where I'm at with it again.
Mhm.
But this has been kind of like I said, I like my Switch. I like going to bed playing a game, so I've been playing
Yeah.
Mori.
Mhm.
But the main game I wanted to talk about this week, this was
Okay.
not on the I'm gonna play this calendar, but when GTA 3 was breaking me, I was looking for a quick burst of fun, and a certain game hit 1.0 and was doing numbers. And my friends and I were all like, "Yeah, we haven't played like a game together in a minute. Let's check out this Pow World."
Very good
Um,
things.
I remember playing Pow World at its early access launch via Game Pass,
Mhm.
being like, okay, a lot of asset flipping happening here, a lot of uninspired monster designs. I'm not the biggest survival crafting fan, but there's kind of something here. I played 4 hours last night and it just went.
So you
they
know.
They've done a great job. They've done a
Mm.
really great job with this, dude. It's just instant fun factor. They've smoothed out the rough edges. It's still a lot of menus all over the place. They just want to make content. It's so obvious. Like they don't have fancy menus at all. They're just like, oh, Arial font will do fine. We'll lay this up here in this corner. We'll lay this down here in that corner. But dude, we were playing last night as a 4-person squad, and like we went around. They've added dungeons to the game, so there's these like random dungeons that you can go and fight bosses in.
Mhm.
They've added like a full story in this game, like it's got a full on narrative, and I don't really know what's going on quite yet because like it's not a very well told narrative.
Yeah.
But there, it's kind of all about the opening hours. It's very MMO like, getting your feet wet. Here are all our systems. Build a camp, establish your guild. Go talk to this guy in a settlement. He's going to tell you about this tower. This tower has your first like real major story boss fight in there. But dude, it's just such a ridiculous game. The way that like I've shot people with my bow and arrow in the streets and then captured them with my PAL spear, and then I've enlisted them to work on my ranches or on my logging sites or my berry plantations or whatever. It's a ridiculous game. Or just grabbing these creatures and it's like, oh, you specialize in woodcut and get in the sphere. Get in the fucking sphere.
Get in there.
And just taking them home and putting them to work. There's a lot of base management stuff that wasn't there when I played it. Like you're able to crack open these menus and like change their preferences. So there are a lot of pals that will do like, oh, this guy can focus on, he could do logging, he could do watering, he could do some planting stuff. If you're like, you're here just to work on plants.
Oh, this is autism. That's
so I can just switch
my
these
synopsis right there.
Yeah. I can switch these flips off, and that dude is here just to work on plants.
Mm-hmm.
You can change in that same section their work mode, so you can put them in a normal work mode. Like the descriptions are hilarious. They're like, give them a nice, safe, fair work cycle, or you can put them into like overwork mode, which is like this will like deplete their sanity. It's hilarious.
Yes.
So we haven't done that yet, but we have people like mass producing at our base right now, which is great. And then you go out into this big open world that's massive, dude. And when you go out there, you're fighting different pals, you're fighting bosses, you're opening chests, you're collecting items. It's kind of just a really fun game. I'm not usually into the whole survival crafting stuff, but because there's enough surrounding it with a Pokemon aesthetic, it's pretty great. And honestly, I'm very happy to see this game's continued success because, man, when you look at like what Nintendo tried to do to this game and how they did try to, for all I will celebrate Nintendo's focus on physical games, they tried to kill Power World. They tried to submit patents in the middle of their lawsuit to retroactively own something so that they could get them out of the competition. It's unbelievable and despicable. So I'm glad to see that they continue to see success. And not only that, but like clearly they're in the 30 million copies sold, right? Like they got to be up there with the amount of like players that we continue to see join this game. It hit in crazy sales when it first came out. Felt like every fucking day there was a new record. I don't know if you remember that. And that was with Game Pass in mind.
I was back there with Game Pass. I remember.
Yeah. And so you look at Power World 1.0, and this could be like a put Pokemon on notice moment, dude. Like for real. I mean, beyond the lawsuits. They did win in one way. Like you can't
do
throw the PAL out of this. So like when you call your PAL in, like you can't throw the sphere and the monster comes out of the sphere. So Pokemon owns that now.
The act of what is it, capturing?
No, you can capture. Like you throw the sphere.
Oh, so they won that. Okay.
That's fine somehow. That's like the more iconic part. But if you throw the sphere and they come out of that sphere, Nintendo owns that part, to my understanding.
So how do they get around that now? What do you do now? What's
kind of like tap your hip almost, and they just they just zip out.
They just zip out. So the act of throwing the monster into battle with the thing is okay. All right, whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
I will say some of these designs are still like unbelievably close, to the point where I had to look up like, what's this team's usage of AI? Like I gotta know if they're out here just being like prompt beasts. If they're just like, what would you call this? Rushore, cool. Hey, I like this. What looks like this? To their credit, bro, they had a statement just a couple of months ago that said like, gamers don't like it, so we don't use it, and that's it.
Wow,
they were just like, they said that they didn't even try it.
Okay.
They did have to be balanced in this. They did have their company, their creative director, their owner, did work on a game that was AI generated. So there is that.
Yes.
It seems like they have done something stupid and have learned their lesson.
Okay.
But I was curious about that. But I'm monitoring the situation. And it was one thing that I looked at. I was like, they're definitely not beating the Unreal Store asset flip allegations.
Of course.
But there is an undeniable fun factor in it. And there is something to be learned about with this game, which is like, not just a simple, just make a good game and it'll sell, bro.
Right.
But that players really don't give a fuck about fidelity after a certain point.
Yeah.
The game visually looks good. Like, I shouldn't say fidelity, but like art direction, maybe. Yeah, that uniqueness goes a long way for some series, but clearly with this, it's like, oh, the monsters remind me of Pokemon, but except I can give them AKs. Cool. You know, some of the technology you unlock for your bases is ridiculous in this game. Like, you can put them on like sandbags to like watch out for invaders. It's unbelievable, bro. Like the shit that you can put your monsters up to. It's all type of foolishness. So
awesome.
we've been having a great time playing Power World.
Nice.
And I'm gonna stick with it. Yeah, dude. It definitely was one of those things where we fired it up one night because I just wanted to see what was going on. We played for 4 hours straight. And we were just like, we're already like texting in group chat. We're like, well, when we getting on? Like,
that's fire.
Yeah. Good time. Good time.
I feel you. What you described is kind of like, the same thing. That's the addiction, and I love that stuff. So I agree.
Right on. All right, Cog. Last topic of the show. The fallout from the Xbox reset. So, at least as we record this, and as I said to open the video, things feel like they're settling into place now. Why are you smiling like that? Did something happen?
I feel like there's a catch coming. With Xbox, they feel that they always when things are too good to be true. Oh, now what else they do?
Yeah. Look, I'm not saying nothing's gonna happen, but at least right now, as we record this, we're enjoying a temporary fragile peace.
Yes. For now, hopefully, without Curse of the Duke, enactments. Yes. But as of recording, right, there seems to be a settling after the 30.
I haven't heard from Brad in some time, so there is maybe something in play.
I see him on Summon Sign soon, but that doesn't count. It's usually when he enters the realm of the Dukes is with it.
Okay. Noted.
Noted.
So there were 3 stories out of this that I wanted to kind of pull from to kind of just check in on where some Xbox things are going, particularly Bethesda, but also Compulsion's on this list here. I want to go through them all, and we'll just kind of pick at this because, again, it was a surprisingly slow week, all things considered. Tom Warren had reported in response to id Software's message that while the id layoffs have been deep, he says, I understand the changes haven't turned id into a support studio. Instead, they are now in the early stages of a new Doom video game. The message that id had posted said, thank you all for the support this week. While our studio was impacted, these changes were spread across our teams. We still have the crew we need to build the game and tech we're known for. The team today is about the same size when we were making Doom 2016. We have always had a flat studio where everyone is a maker, and we will remain true to that philosophy moving forward. We are focused on supporting each other and the team members impacted. We are going to keep building the great games and tech that have defined us for the past 35 years. And we're looking forward to seeing you at QuakeCon this August. Now, does this read a little bit like post that shit right now? Post that shit right now. Say things are okay. You think Asha maybe shoved a little bit? Because I'll just add this one in.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a report from Kotaku.
Let's go.
They say, as reported by Massively Overpowered, over the weekend during the ESO Tavern event in Germany, Elder Scrolls Wiki Discord admin and popular ESO player Baratron spoke to some of the devs still working on the MMO following last week's round of layoffs. Despite the layoffs gutting ZeniMax Online's team, as reported by Kotaku, Baratron says that the 2 leads he spoke to claimed that this isn't the end for ESO. Quote, some good news for a change. This is important. According to Jason Barnes, who's Associate Design Director, and Jessica Folsom, who's the Associate Director of Community Management, ZeniMax Online Studios is now at the same size as when they made both Hrothgar and Somerset, which, as we know, are highly acclaimed DLCs. So while the layoffs are extremely upsetting for everyone involved, and of course, including the players, this is not necessarily the end of new content or the game going into maintenance mode. End quote. They also said on their ESO forums, the plan is still to deliver great content, and we will hopefully have an update soon. Just wanted to thank everyone for the kind words of concern at the studio and everyone impacted by the layoffs. We know that everyone appreciates it. So before we get to the whole Compulsion thing, here's 2 Bethesda studios posting very similar tonal messages here. What is your read of this situation? Because I think there's actually a tremendous amount to unpack from
Mhm.
going to that size and specifically with those games in that era. But I'm curious how you read the actual messages themselves and then the
Yeah.
team size.
Look, there's still a part of me that's always going to feel there's some level of PR, influence in terms of like, hey, we want to let everyone know that it is not as bad as people are saying it is.
Mm,
That we are our core values. Even Obsidian, we got to throw them in the mix with this a little bit, right? Where it's kind of like, hey, we were supposedly gutted, but the core essence of us is still here. Hey, with it, hey, 2016, you like that? This is the same team size of team that we had then, right? And then obviously with ESO, people are worried, like, oh, are you guys going to pull out from ESO? Is this the dwindling down of content? Are you stepping away from? These are fair questions to ask when
mm.
you see studios get gutted to this nature, especially it. So I get it. I will say it's a combination of both. I think both things can be true. I think that there's definitely a PR sentiment like, hey, let people know that things are not bad, but also that as bad as people are trying to make them. Because you got to admit, with this generation, I mean, this regime of Xbox, they're very quick to dispel false narratives, more so
Sure.
than the past generation. The past generation would let false narratives
You're like,
fester.
have your way.
Go ahead, we ain't even going to challenge you, whatever. The Usher era, they're like, no, that's wrong. This is incorrect. This, that, and the third. So there's a part of me that
Hard. I
feels
mean,
that
they've needed to do
they
that for
are
a while.
giving people the green light. Like even Jason Ronald himself
Hmm.
is a person who in past regime would never come out and say, yo, this is what we're doing with our plans. And remember when the narrative that that Helix wouldn't be a first party console device, that it would be like
Yeah.
an OEM, and they were like, nope, and you're gonna be able to play your game. Like, I've never
Yeah.
seen that from him. So I
Sure.
I feel Osher's era has given these teams the green light to say, no, you can address. So I think there's an empowerment there, but I'm also not stupid. Like, of course you want to kind of quell the fire, throw the little buckets of water on whatever to try to get people to be like, calm down, bro. We're not burning the building down. It's still good people here. I get that. So again, both things could be true. We'll get to the composure thing in a minute. The it thing is interesting because here's the thing they gotta answer.
Mm,
All that's nice. But you have lost from both teams a lot of senior generational talent.
mm.
And now the pressure is on. You've got to produce. When it's your turn to re up, you've got to produce at the same quality level as before, if not better, because people want to see, okay, show me that you can make great games under this condition. Show me you can make great games when not only 1600 now that you're going to have 1600 that's going to be leaving. So still, you guys are in a state of flux, and people feel that video games shouldn't be created that way, right? No one likes to, now some people can feel that, good. Some people, it was too lax. There's a sentiment, some people like, yo, it's too lax, and y'all, not them, but some studios were, I hate to use this term, in passion project mode. And when some studios are in passion project mode, again, in fairness to them studios, that was the directive they were told that
Yeah.
they could create, right? But now, as we will get into the compulsion thing, when the stakes are higher and it is
Mm.
your responsibility, how do you create, right? And that's a fair, I feel, question. But yeah, we'll see. That's my only thing with all of this. Like, I'm not gonna ignore the bloodbath that has happened from a layoff standpoint. Yes, the studio was saved. We love that. But you've got to show me. Remember, I told you it's all about games. I want
Yeah.
to see now how these games come out and what you signed off on. What's your next project? Then
Sure.
we're gonna learn.
Yeah. My takeaway was in line with you. There's definitely a level of putting out the fire. But I was thinking about it a bit, and I feel like I'm one of the few people who will think about it this way. I'm excited to see the reaction to my video on it, just because I had kind of started to unpack like Bethesda's best eras and worst eras, and I always pointed to the mid 2010s to be their best time as a publisher. Not just talking Bethesda game studios, mind you, because a lot of people, when you say Bethesda, we think like Todd and his team, and that's really it. I'm talking when Bethesda started to more aggressively expand and invest, they were like, okay, we're going to team up with Machine Games. We're going to team up with Tango. We're going to get our hands on Arcane, right? And during that early 2010s era, obviously there's games like Skyrim, but there's games like Rage that I have a personal fondness for, but more popular, you have games like Dishonored, Evil Within, Prey, obviously sequels to these games, Wolfenstein, same deal. This was such a great era for Bethesda. It was low cost. They were having efficient teams make their best games, and they were at their most popular. Their company goodwill was high. ESO was in a similar bag. ESO did Tamriel Unlimited in 2014, or no, 2015. I apologize. Turned around the sentiment on that game because it was more of like a subscription service thing. People were like, "Oh, we don't like that."
That was a big thing back then.
Yeah, and so when they did that, and then they started to add the DLC in, and they did one Tamriel, which was like a game changer update for the industry. Like, you know, your friend can hop in, you could be level 60, he could be level 10, y'all can play together. Huge game changer for that to get people involved. They just made it so easy to just buy the game and play it, right? And with that, they were also making great DLC. My favorite being, one of my favorites being Somerset Isle. Just gorgeous, very memorable too, at least for me. So when I was reading that, and I think about id, and when they really, you know, came out like a part of the pun, a bat out of hell. Doom 2016 was a massive, massive moment for our industry, where they were on the rise. 4 years later, here's Eternal, right? But I want to bring people back to that feeling, because then in the late 2010s, what happened with Bethesda was something quite different. They did the obvious thing. We're going to do sequels to Wolfenstein. We're going to do sequels to Evil Within. We're going to do sequels to all these games. We're going to greenlight Prey. And those games that I just mentioned all flopped, might be an extreme term, but they did half of what the prior game did. And this all occurred in the middle of a live service gold rush. Now, Bethesda really had two choices here. They were like, let's go forward and keep investing in single player content, because that's what our teams are built for and what we know. Or they did what a lot of the industry did. They tried to morph their existing single player teams, BioWare, we're looking at you, into a live service developer. And that form of design and development style, like, just there's teams that are cut for it because they've hired for it, and there are games and teams that are not. And Bethesda happened to be a home of just pure single player shit. But they panicked. They saw the numbers, and one of the standout quotes for me that I read about Dishonored 2 is they asked them, like, why would we do another game like this when Skyrim was cheaper, which is crazy to think about. And obviously we know Skyrim sold way more.
Yeah.
So why would we do another immersive sim style game?
Yeah.
And so that was like the beginnings of Redfall, right? So their reaction to that window made them chase a golden goose that you could argue they got in 76 eventually, but it definitely didn't start that way. And then you had Youngblood in there. Wolfenstein Youngblood had microtransactions, and it was co-op led. Wasn't live service exactly, but they were throwing needless microtransactions into the game. And then, of course, Redfall to cap it all off, right? So when I look at when Bethesda sold, right, 2021, Xbox inherited a sick patient is how I describe it. And they gave them prolonged life, to be clear. I will say this in defense of Xbox, is that, and I know people don't want to hear it, I'm not saying that means that it was all good, but you got extra year. If this was Bethesda owned, if you thought Redfall was bad, that shit was coming out even worse. Starfield was coming out earlier. That's been confirmed multiple times. Xbox giving that an extra year made it, while a lot of people are still dissatisfied with it. Again, imagine getting that game a year earlier.
Oh, yeah. Good call out.
Tango was able to do Ghostwire and then Hi-Fi Rush. And Arcane got Deathloop out.
Right.
None of these games really, outside of Starfield, lit the world on fire. So I bring all this up because then Xbox now is looking at it going, they're not making as much money. We got some of our teams tied up in live service endeavors. We've got set up to fail projects like Redfall, which we know with Redfall, bro, like there was reports from Schreier that said like they themselves were like hoping Microsoft would come in and cancel it.
Kill it. Yeah, that was crazy.
They're like, you kill it. They won't,
Yes.
you kill it.
You
They're
kill
like,
it because they
yes.
won't do it. Yes.
And they didn't do it either, because I'm sure you talk about PR and the concern around that. They're like, how would it look? And I think it's the best point you've had on this topic is like, How would it look if it's like, yo, Xbox comes in, they cancel Arcane's new vampire game?
Who joined from Harvey Smith, killed Harvey Smith's new game.
Yeah. Like, I totally get that stance. It's a really tough spot to be in where like they just had to maybe look at the game and go, we'll have to live with it. But I understand why they didn't want to have that public black eye immediately afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'm going through this history of Bethesda because look at what they've become. This really started in 2017, 2016, and what they've become, which again, there are parts that weren't sick. I don't think Machine Games was sick. They got right back on track. They're like, yeah, Youngblood, rear view mirror. Here's Indiana Jones. We got no concerns. It continued to do their thing. I didn't find Doom the Dark Ages very compelling compared to the rest of the series, but I thought it was a great game. But they also happened to take 5 years on that compared to 4 on Eternal.
And in your defense, sorry to interrupt you, but in your defense, it wasn't this huge commercial success that it may have thought it would be too. So it wasn't just you. There's a lot of people who it didn't resonate like how it resonated with the past ones.
Yeah. Now I say all of this because to go back to your 2016 form communicates a lot to me. To go back to your mid 2010s form says a lot to me, is that we're looking for smaller teams to do more. And this can play out one of two ways. A lot of people are going to think I'm running defense. This can play out disastrously. Like, to be clear, this can be a moment where it's like, I see what you're trying to do and it failed epically. Like where the developers who have said this can't go will be proven correctly. Or we'll go back to the scrappy nature of a lot of game development, which is like maker culture, lots of hats being worn, kind of what you were talking about, Glen Schofield, like that being a more common thing because, we're watching. Here's the thing. My interpretation is that we've constantly talked about on this show and on our respective platforms, like, man, AAA's got to figure it out. They're in the worst trouble of all. Indie and AA are kind of finding their way home. They're running cheaper operations. They are making games quicker. They're making the same money though. They're doing. It's a great time to be an indie or AA, right? The AAA does not have that. They're bloated. They overhired during COVID. They're still trimming off some of that fat. And then we've got these commercial issues where the team count is so high, they're charging more than the game's actually worth. And all of this is working against them. So in all these conversations people have been having, I do wonder if there's a world where you're looking at the massive successes of this industry and the teams that make them and thinking to yourself, like, how can we get to that level a little bit more? Not that we're going to see a 30-man team at id just champion this new AAA hit or something like that. But speaking of 30-man teams, I do think a little bit about Expedition 33. This is a game that was made for less than $10 million. That is what they said when being interviewed by New York Times. And as of its 1-year anniversary, Expedition 33 sold 8 million copies. And I said this in my video, you don't need to do the math on like, what's the platform splits? What's the engine splits on that? Publisher and developer, like, it's mega profitable. Mm-hmm. That's all you need to know, right? And the resulting changes of that success were zero. Guillaume Broche confirmed, he's like, same team. We're making the game for us. Mm. We're not over-investing. And that creates a very sustainable future for his team. Anyone working there has got a job for a long while because you get a game like Expedition 33 and you want to keep everyone probably got raises, nice bonuses. Don't get me wrong. Rightfully so.
Absolutely.
But like, even that's the thing. They've made such an enormous amount of money. And while people look at that and say, yeah, that's like a cherry picked example. That's a hit example.
Right.
What is the difference when we see AAA extracting the very ideas of games on an indie level and trying to do them in AAA? So I think the business model is begging to be shaken up a bit. And I do wonder if you're returning to an era where Bethesda was a little more self-sustainable, if that is part of the play, is like, we need to get these teams smaller. And what Cog said earlier really resonated with me of like, if you are not close or you are not cooking, we do not need this many people. I'm not saying this is the right thing, to be clear. However, to our understanding, the industry used to keep very tight teams and scale them up as development progressed. And then they would contract again. With unionizing and with a lot of push for job stability in our industry, we've seen a lot of overlapping happen. That's really where DLC was given birth in a lot of ways, because You now need to fill people's hands, because the reality is in game development, sometimes not every set of hands needs to be filled. And so that's where downloadable content came in, and why, we need to like keep them fucking busy while we figure out what's next. That's why they spent a year at id on Doom, the Dark Ages Revelations, because they had 3 games they were pitching. They're like, do we want to do this John Wick thing? Let's hear the compelling ideas behind it. Do we want to do this Doom game? Oh, we just did Doom 3 times in a row. Do we want to do Perfect Dark? Right. And they're doing all this while they're working on DLC. So those hands aren't empty. But I'm sure there has to be some level of assessment of like, do we need to do this, or should we go back to the traditional game making way of release by release, smaller dev timelines, smaller teams, and effectively doing, I mean, again, look at Expedition. I talked about it as like creating sockets that need to be filled.
Right.
So think about, do you remember the story that he talked about, Guillaume Broche, with like his South Korean animation team?
I believe so, yeah.
So when they were making battle animations for Expedition, they like created basically the socket, and they hired an external team of animators that I think he found on YouTube, and was like, hey, we want you to do our battle animations. They brought them in-house, and they did that part.
Right.
And so we know outsourcing co-development.
Yeah,
it's been a very common, like this has always been a thing in our industry, and will continue to be. But when I say that they're leaning into that, I think they're just being more strategic. Like id will work as a small team on their next Doom game until it's time to scale up. Then you will get more talent that will probably be outsourced. Now, how that works for a team like id, maybe it's not outsourced, but maybe, hey, Machine Games, Wolfenstein 3 will be out before this next Doom game. So guess who's supporting the next Doom game, who's familiar with id tech, when y'all's game is out next, to keep you busy? Instead of working on DLC, you work on Doom. And I think that is how it will go. I think this is why you're seeing 76 talent getting cut, and why they're shifting their focus to TES 6, because a lot of people are like, how are we going to support that game? Double 11's been doing a lot of that support. So here comes a lot of that internal talent now focusing on a project that is more in demand. So that is my read of what's going on here with Bethesda. And that's why I said, like, to me, I looked at this information. I was like, I think there's a lot more to pull at here, that there's no coincidence to me that these two teams have found themselves in their mid 2010s form after all the COVID bloating, the hiring, the bloating development timelines. We need more people. We need more help. And ESO, of course, being a very profitable project. I can't help but look at that and think, interesting timing, interesting framing. And that's not to say, again, that I'm like out here kissing Asha Sharma's feet, or that it's correct. But I think there is an argument and a conversation to be had about what's happening here, and what AAA, at least in Xbox's case, might be trying to do. In the case of Bethesda Game Studios, what was the number was like 30 something people, but Bethesda Game Studios is larger than 400 people now, like hardly a dent. Right. But I was thinking about that a lot. Same thing with Obsidian, and the list goes on. So I apologize to the audience and to you, Cog. I know I just like ate up the microphone for like an hour there, but I'm just curious if there's anything you took away from it. Just what your thoughts were. Again, I apologize.
No, don't apologize. I was sitting there. It's very interesting. This is good stuff to talk about, because it is, like, again, we're trying to understand the thought process, right? And to me, this feels like overall AAA course correction. That's what I'm getting from it, right? The key is the jury will be out on the strategy and the execution of said strategy, right? Because to me, the way I look at it is they are analyzing studio efficiency, right? And if I'm guessing, if I'm looking at what I think they're doing, it feels like what you said, which is like, okay, prior to release, there's a ramp up period where we, all hands on deck. But if you're not in the midst of a project, or you just released, then there's going to be a ramp down. We don't need to have all of these, people. Also, the way development is changing, I do feel there's going to be cross studio support, right? We see, for example, with Grounded, Eidos, Montreal, they're helping out with Marcus Morgan and that team. So we're in this new era where it's like, not everyone, we're not going to have these huge teams per se, and not everyone is not, we're going to also rely on also studios to do this. So also like co-development is what I'm basically trying to say as well. The key for them is going to be this, the senior talent gap. Once the seniors are gone, the advantages of that is that you be able to have these guys that have this tremendous experience to do problems quickly, and be able to plug in, plug. Okay, I get that. I recognize that. When that is gone, you are now relaying a lot of this on junior level guys, and that may impede development, right? So we got to see how that plays out. You also got to see like a lot of, I don't know if you got a chance to watch. Jason got another one. He's on his bags right there. What
Yeah,
he calls
he's on a roll,
intakes,
bro.
right? He in his bag, but he made a good point in reference to you know people forget. Yes, 3,200 right employees. But Microsoft is notorious, as well as other companies, are vendors and contractors and things of that nature who provide the support that they also now are going to be gone, right? So the key also is engine uniformity. That's going to be a thing. That's why people were worried about the InTech situation at first,
Sure.
right? But they
Yeah.
said that they're not going to be a support. So we
Yeah.
got that confirmation. But there's going to be a streamlining for the most part. How does that work? So look, this could go well for them. There's a chance. I could see a timeline where they're like, yeah, we were too bloated. We had to streamline. We got to get back to the efficacy stage where we're really, super efficient and we're ramping up at the right times, and we're keeping these budgets out of control and the spending out of control. So
Mhm.
we'll see. We'll see. It's again, it's going to be the execution. You know what I'm saying? And Xbox has to, in this new Asha Sharma era, they got to prove that this strategy was sound. They got to prove that in this climate, they can make good games, right? Because if they don't, there's going to be hella smoke for them, you know what I'm saying, in that regards. And the last thing, like I keep repeating, is that there's not a lot of these jobs in the industry, right? So it's
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
it is something to be said where it's like, man, I don't know if I'm going to make it to next quarter, kind of thing. And some people look at it as like, okay, well, you're gonna be more pressured to do your best work so that you can show that your value. And other people are gonna be like, but is that the correct way to make video games? I don't know the answer to that. But to
Yeah.
your point,
Yeah.
we're starting to see the shift in development, a lot of co-development, a lot of outsourcing, a lot of, hey, we're not having these massive teams like we used to back in the day, because they're not seeing, if Asha's looking at it from a cold corporate standpoint, they're gonna be like, look, all these people here, and Doom did, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, all these people here at ESO and these other games are, you know what I mean? Like, we gotta work more efficiently. We can't have all this headcount and we're not producing bangers,
Yeah.
so to speak, that are critically acclaimed. That is a fair assessment to look at them and say, something's got to change, right? So the definition of insanity is doing the same things, expecting different results. So we have to at least owe them the opportunity to see if this new strategy
Yeah.
plays out, and I think
Yeah.
that is fair.
I agree. Yeah, I think it can go the opposite way, like I said, and I know you agree, is that like this could just be like a bad play, but
Mm.
continuing to almost said roll out, continuing to repeat over and over, like let's put out a massive team, let's go all in, like, I think part of the 1,600 that people haven't considered, like we talked about Halo a lot earlier, but I think like that 1,600, like I have no doubt they're looking at Playground. Like they spent an enormous amount of time on Fable.
That is true.
I don't know if that will be profitable even its best chance. Like
That's a good point.
that is a game that like multi-plat and all, man. Like there's just a certain point where you're in development for that long and that many delays. Like I think they're gonna look at Coalition afterwards. Like
Mm.
that game was in development for a long while. I think In Exile.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I think everyone's on that list. They're just waiting for their games to
Right.
release because they are close, and then they're going to trim them afterwards.
Mhm.
And they have to basically a lot of these companies that got trimmed are in a sort of reassessing period,
Right.
where it's like, okay, you've launched, and for example, Obsidian got like a big trim because like they
Right.
just launched a bunch of things. Like we're not going to see them for
Mhm.
a little bit of time. Same thing with id. They just launched last year.
Mhm.
We're cutting off the head count
Yeah, I'm gonna see them
because
for a
we're not
while.
going to see you for a while. Again, not saying that's right, but
Right.
there is a level of like, if you're reloading, there's going to be cuts. And I don't mean to say it because I know that a lot of people from Xbox will like listen to our show, and
Mhm.
I'm sure this puts the fear. I feel bad because I'm sure
Yeah,
this
of
puts the fear of
course.
God in
Of
a lot of
course.
devs who work at these various studios, and they're like, oh fuck, like, I'm sure they put it together way before me. So who am
Yeah.
I kidding? But like, um, yeah, it's just like I don't think it's good. That's the trick in this all, is I don't think it's a good development environment. But
Mhm.
in the same time,
Mhm.
I'm not saying this to be like, well, actually, but
Mhm.
I know when I talk to my audience and we think about like the golden era and stuff, like the way things seem to be headed is when a lot of people were like, oh, we were getting our best games back then,
Right.
which is like contract, expand,
Yeah.
contract, expand. Um, and stability is given to a core team.
Right.
It's I have to make and ship more games to confirm my feelings on it, but I do always wonder about the idea
Yeah.
of like, is this industry just built to be, it can make this much money, but I don't know if it's
Mhm.
built to support that many workers
I thi
because of just, again, the nature of DLC holding people's positions until they can
Correct.
transition over.
Yeah.
That a lot of companies, I think of even smaller teams like Yacht Club Games, where
Mhm.
they were trying to do two projects at once, and the two project culture usually requires more studio, more headcount.
Mhm.
I see how we get there. You know, I think of CD Projekt Red as a great example. Like they have a whole cyberpunk team and a whole fucking unit on Witcher. Like I get how we get there in some cases,
Mhm.
but I do wonder otherwise, like if this is just an industry built to be smaller.
It
And you have
the
those exceptions like Rockstar.
it's funny you say that because Sov had a super profound point at ILP this week, and it really stopped me. I didn't think about it, and he was like, "What about the reset? Is the admission that we have to be smaller and we have to operate in this new world where we're a smaller Xbox, right? And this is part of it because it is surprising to see the commitment to exclusives. I'm still surprised by it. I'm still shocked by it. I'm still
Mm,
confused by the tripling down a little bit. Now, again, not, of course, not that I don't want it. You know, what I'm saying? I just like to make
sure.
sense of things. So part of me, he was just like, he made a point. He's like, hey, what if you're doing this knowing that you're not going to be making, selling, a bazillion consoles that you used to do in the past, but now you're doing this smaller thing where the expectations are set in a more realistic, how like we used to laugh at Square with their projections were for all their games and stuff. Remember we be like, bro, you
Yeah.
really thinking you're gonna
Yeah.
do all this? And maybe it's that where it's like, okay, so if we have these smaller projections, but as a result of this smaller head count and stuff like that, theoretically, right? It
Mm,
sounds good. It sounds like, okay, this may be the new normal for AAA. The key is going to be, and I want to be respectful to the human element of there's nothing that sucks more than you pour your heart out and something is critically acclaimed. Like, for example, let's use the playground as the example, where, boom, they just gave us Forza Horizon 6. You would think, bro, you printing though. Are you sure Alinea Analytics, as far as where they put Forza Horizon 6 ahead of all this other stuff that just came out? I'm like, wow.
was
Then
this
you
recent?
drop
I
Fable,
don't
but
think I
to your
saw this.
point, right? Fable, we don't expect it to be that, but you figure, it should do well. And then right after you drop that, boom, you're out of here over these successful projects. That don't feel good, and it doesn't lead people to come back. You know what I'm saying, to the industry. So we gotta see how this thing plays out. But scope, scale, new expectation is going to be interesting because it's clear that they've thought about this stuff. They've thought about what Xbox is going to be in the future, and I wonder if that plays into it. Just
Yeah.
a smaller nature of it. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just food for thought.
Yeah.
So hopefully people take it that way. Although I think it'll be a lot of they're running defense, but
They're running. Forget. You know what I love when you try to make sense of something and you just try to understand something, but that means you're
yeah.
you're defending.
Yeah. I don't
It's
know,
so
man.
funny.
Sometimes like we just Cog and I like to talk things through, present the
Yeah,
ideas. I feel like maybe I misunderstand our job. I feel like a lot of times I'm like, I don't think I get it anymore because I'm
I
just
know.
like,
I
we'll get
know.
blasted for things. I'm like,
I
I'm just
know.
trying to present like all these thoughts and ideas so y'all like think them over with us and we have
Yes.
the conversation.
Forgive nuance. Forgive trying to understand. Oh man, you better be pissed with me, bro. And if you're not pissed with me, bro, you defend it. I'm like, all right,
Oh,
bro.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Uh,
Well, I think we can all agree on something is that Compulsion Games isn't really in the best spot. If this post is anything to go by here, they put out on social media the following. With Compulsion Games returning to its roots as an independent developer, we are expanding opportunities to collaborate with studios across the games and entertainment industry. We invite partners to leverage the talent and creativity of the award-winning team behind South of Midnight, a game that was honored with a BAFTA award, a Peabody Award, 7 Canadian Game Awards, and recognized on multiple Best of Games of 2025 lists. With deep experience in creating acclaimed original IP, we bring our artistry, technical expertise, and collaborative approach to every project. We are excited to support the development of memorable experiences that engage and entertain players around the world. So, um, yeah, you were laughing last week when I said like passing around, bro. But like, I mean, this is I feel bad reading this. I'm like, damn, dude, like it's like that's got to be just we got to survive. Like let's any option's a good option right now. Like let's get the money.
Yeah,
Let's if we're a co-development studio, cool.
yeah.
If we're leading our own, I mean, that's the thing. If you're putting yourself out there as a co-development opportunity, like please take us and we will like the sense that stood out to me here.
Talk to me.
We invite partners to leverage the talent.
Yeah,
Like use
bro.
us.
Use us. Yeah.
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 And I think someone will take him up on it, but like, man, that's pretty rough.
It's
How do
pretty
you
rough.
read in this?
It's rough on two levels. One, because first of all, you know how much I love South of Midnight. It's a foundational title. Some of the best
Sure.
music. I thought they had a great new IP with a character that could be something for the future. Just didn't like the ending, and obviously the combat
Yeah.
should have been way more expensive for how long they took. But I thought the platformer was great, and I'm like, damn, this could have a sequel. But the problem for them now is that this is the reality now, right? This is what we talked about, the hard facts
Mm,
of independence and creativity. And when it's, again, your project outside of the safety net that is Microsoft, right? And the safety net of Xbox and them finding, and now you have to make decisions. You now have to be profitable, right? So this is these cold hard facts that I was telling people. That's why I
mm.
said they're very fortunate, right? Now you see the post immediately. Yo, because you can see opportunities we're willing leverage our time. Look at us, go evaluate us, go see what you think we could do with us. You see what I'm saying? Because now
Survivability. Yeah.
it's desperate time. In order to keep these lights on, you're going to have to now leverage your studio to co-develop someone else's dream, because based on what you have projected, it doesn't seem profitable, and maybe you can't find a publisher that's going to, if that's what you choose to do. But if, let's say, if you don't, but you're not going to be able to finance yourself in this climate doing these style of things. This is where I believe what's our homegirl, Fry, was it lawyer, what's her name,
Laura
what's her name?
Fry. Yeah.
Yeah, this is where the creative freedom, right? Too much of it, right? The artist, you leave the artist to himself. Oh, he'll make some stuff. But is that profitable? Is that going to be commercially successful? And
Yeah.
that's the balance with gaming. So yeah, when
Yeah.
I see that stuff, this is tough to read because I do like Compulsion. But what they're gonna have to do, and which is gonna be tough, is also I believe they're Canadian. That's the Canada factor.
Yeah.
That's the tough part. There's not a lot. You're going to feel that you're going to have to partner someone in the local area. I mean, not that it can't happen, from a different region, but that puts them also behind the eight ball. I feel that's
Yeah. Yeah.
another
Totally.
asterisk where it's like, okay, we want to use you, but you're where? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then are you equipped for remote support? Like these are all the infrastructure stuff,
Yeah.
right? And remember, a lot of the cuts, but think about Tango, think about potentially Arcade, think about Compulsion, studios that are in other regions.
Mm,
You see what I'm saying?
mm.
It's tougher, bro. It's industry is brutal, man. And when you saw this, it did feel like a cry for help. I ain't even gonna lie to you, bro. It felt like, yo,
Yeah.
please
Completely.
use us. Like we want to exist. And of course, I'll signal some. I love Guillaume and the team, but yeah, this is desperate time. This is the reality now. This is what's
Yeah.
gonna happen.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like whatever they've been working on since, I mean, given that id was still pitching ideas around the team and it's, the mid part of 2026, I have to imagine that Compulsion must have been in a similar position where that's another part of this whole thing that doesn't get talked about enough. I know it's not easy to settle on a project. Like it's very under discussed, especially with new IP, like the ideas and the hoops you got to jump through to like
Yeah.
connect that idea with other people. And then not only that, but to, in their case, like, sell it to an exec and be like, green light this, please give us money for this, please. Like,
Yes.
a tremendous amount of thought goes into that. So I know why they spend some time on it, but there's got to be a conversation on the amount of time spent gathering the pitch, deciding on the project, and how specifically within Xbox this has fucked up so many teams where it's just like, you weren't working on anything.
Right.
Like the most we got out of them was I'm assuming, by the way, with Compulsion, but I'm talking about with like id, it's like, here's the DLC.
Mhm.
How many people are going to show up for that DLC attached to a game that undersold?
Right.
You didn't even know what was up next. Compulsion, I have to imagine, was in the same spot. If they're putting themselves up for co-development, I don't think they have anything.
They don't have anything. Then,
I think they just got money to survive. Like,
yeah,
I think they've
survive.
got some pocket change, and that's really it,
Yeah, or the
you know?
interest level is not there for a sequel to 2 of the games that they put out, which is We Happy Few and South of Midnight 2. Even though I would like that, but clearly those options had to be on the table, at some point. Or to your point, they just ain't working on something quick enough that was ready to be pitched fast enough for someone to
Yeah.
be interested
I
in. So, like,
mean, I was just gonna say, think about it, right? Like, Ninja Theory found a buyer.
right,
Undead Labs did as well.
right, correct,
You have to imagine these other 2 were kinda pitched around as well, and Double
right.
Fine and Compulsion, and, like, you could wager the guess that
Mm-mm.
it's fair to assume, like, Compulsion maybe was denied by everyone
Could
that
be,
could have
yeah,
been invested suitors.
yeah,
Their project isn't anywhere, and so now they've just gotta go, like, megaphone, just like,
right,
"Hey,
right,
we're available. Anyone."
yeah,
It definitely feels like, I mean, again, you and I talked about this, that we were surprised to see this team just wasn't shut down. I mean, love them or hate them, whatever it may be, is not the conversation at this point. It's just like South of Midnight was in development for a while and it sold like S. That's just the
and
unfortunate
so,
reality of that game. And like, I was surprised to not see their doors closed. You
yeah,
know, you
same,
spend 7 years on that game and it does not do much on its ports. It does not do much in its standard release. And like, the fact that they still were able to walk
yeah,
out of that and be like, "Hey, here's your IP, like, best of luck."
exactly, you get to,
I'm
yeah,
very surprised by that. So,
yeah,
part of me also, I should say, isn't shocked at the fact that they've had to go to this level.
yeah,
But I do feel for them. I have to imagine it's like, man, we were like
yeah,
here. And again, this is where I think reflections and learning are everything. I'm not saying this was the case with them. I don't work there. I don't know what it was like internally, but
mhm,
for a lot of fans, it reads like a lot of these teams, to King's point, took advantage of the
like, it was
passion
just,
project
yeah,
environment. I don't blame them in the case of like, hey, Phil told you, like, Game Pass, it's cool.
yeah, do
But
what
like,
you want.
there's just a level of rationale and intelligence that suggests like these things still need to be appealing. You
Mm,
know, like just defaulting to like, well, we got 30 million. Someone who subscribed to this, someone will find this appealing.
right,
That's still a bad plan to build a whole team around for years and years and years and years and just
mhm,
run money. Um, I just,
yeah,
I'll never get that part of it all.
no, I mean, the point that I think that you're making is it's kind of like it's what I call like employment foresight, right? Which is like, hey, I was, I'm working at a company. I'm comfortable. I'm making good money. I'm able to do what I want, do what I want. But you have to then start looking. Okay, 2 years down, is the status quo going to remain the same? Am I comfortable enough to say, you know what? Just in case it goes left, we need to have something ready just in case, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's a point to be made where you still make yourself valuable and you just don't get so comfortable. I think there is a point to be made. So
Yeah,
it's
there's a
just like,
balance. They should be comfortable, just not
yeah,
to the like, that's the benefit of being owned by Xbox at that time,
right,
right? Like, you have a right to be comfortable. That's what you earn when you get
right,
purchases. Like, cool, we made a team valuable enough to be purchased by a bigger corp. They're
mhm,
gonna trim us down, but then after that, we get to chill and we get to like focus on like what's good for us in this environment. But
right.
you still gotta make something that's like, you gotta be worth your price tag.
Right. And also the other thing is like there is the foresight of seeing the industry and say, okay, wait a minute, Tango, look what happened to them. Right? Maybe, if it goes left, we have a very make an appealing IP like Hi-Fi Rush was in demand. Crafton said, oh, we want that. You see what I'm saying? So
Mm,
having like something of demand to give yourself like a safety net. So in case, okay, if South of Midnight doesn't work, we've got this other thing, right?
mm,
Check this out. And this creates interest kind of thing.
mm.
And I think that is fair to say, hey, as a studio head or a studio, like we need one of those just in case. He's like, Obsidian, obviously, Ninja Theory, Cinewell was that for them. They're like, oh, let's get something that takes the feedback, and we got that ready to go, and we could pitch. And I don't know if they had nothing to pitch,
Mm.
or there's just maybe it was a South of Midnight 2 or We Happy Feet 2, and people was like, nah, we've seen that. We're good on that.
Yeah.
I just don't know. It would be a shame if they have nothing to pitch, and thus the desperation is where it is
Mm,
because of that, and that would
mm.
be really sad to see.
Yeah, man. We got 2 write-ins. We kind of went over them, but I wanted to acknowledge them anyway
Sure.
because they were really great. And if there's anything to pull out, we'll go into it. If not,
Mhm.
then we will just leave it there. This first one comes from Psych Coffee. He says, "Hey Dukes, with the recent layoffs from Xbox, many are saying studios like id and ESO are dead in the water. Nothing more than support studios. Those same studios are saying they have plenty of employees. id stated that they have as many employees as they did when they worked on Doom 2016. This got me thinking about the reports at Starfield. It seems that from what we know, that the increased size of Starfield team kept the developers from making Starfield in the same way they made Skyrim. Is this an attempt to return to form for Asha? Is Xbox trying to go back to the old era of games with smaller teams and tighter budgets? If this is what they are doing, do you think this will work? This industry may be collapsing, but at least I still have the Dukes to look forward to guy today. It's very sweet.
That's what's up.
And then Brick House Arsh writes, "What's up, Dukes? With the recent Xbox layoffs and studio changes, I've noticed the online discourse has shifted pretty dramatically. For years, the common argument seemed to be that studios should be given all the time they need to make great games. But now, after some Xbox studios were let go from the brand, I'm seeing more people argue that teams simply took too long or weren't producing enough. Where did the Dukes land on this? Should developers be allowed to work on games for as long as they need if the goal is quality? Or does there have to be a hard limit where a publisher steps in and says the timeline is no longer sustainable?" So these are both excellent questions. I feel like we did kind of dive into them, so I do apologize to both of y'all. But Cog, is there anything you wanted to pick at from that?
Yeah, both great questions, and as far as the Starfield part, I'll just say the vibe I get is just that that was not mentioned as far
Mm.
as tentpole.
Mm.
And when I don't see mentions, I
Yeah.
have to assume you've been deprioritized. Even though, we've sat in one of the Starfield where they came to the Terran Armada DLC and they were like, "Hey, we still got content." And I was like, "Oh," I was surprised, like, "Oh wow, they still that was at that time."
Mm.
So I think that may have shifted. I wouldn't be surprised if it is Elder Scrolls from here on out and things get deprioritized as far as that concerned. As far as
Yeah, Starfield is
yeah,
we're not humming anymore, Cog.
I don't think the hum I'm gonna get to it. Look,
I don't think
I'd
we're
love
humming for
to.
another 20 years if they decide to like bring back Starfield, man. Remember that? That was a great time. I don't think.
Yeah, in the world of Asha, I don't know if I'm gonna get another hum left. You know what I'm saying? I hope though, because you know how much I love it. And I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
Terra Domata and I love Free Lanes.
sure.
As far as with the Brick House Arsh, yeah, it's the balance. Look, all about the the North Star at the time you were acquired. Yeah, you were allowed you to do that, right? You know,
Mm.
but this is not the condition we are in anymore, right? So once the conditions change, then it became you don't have that time to make these quality or these arts kind of part projects and take as long as you want and stuff like that. And it's unfortunate because some people are like, "Yo, bro, you told me I could do this. Now you're penalizing me for what you told me, right?" And it's just like it sucks. I totally get it, and this is where I think there is a balance. There's a mix. There is something to be said of, okay, you have that creative control, you have that freedom, but after a certain amount of time, it is fair to say, and I think this is the past regime knows this. Okay, what's going on here? It's been 4 or 5 years. What are you doing? And at that point, then it becomes parenting, right?
Mm.
And okay, this ain't working, right? And we
Mm.
need to,
I
you
like
know,
that parenting.
it becomes being a responsible parent. Like and I think they know they've been guilty of that because some of the studios themselves like, "Yo, we was hoping you come here and kill that." You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. So do you feel this is just as much
Mhm.
problem child as much as it is a parent that maybe was neglectful?
Yeah. I've always said both things can be true.
Yeah.
I think I remember I've always used a cool uncle analogy. It's cool when your uncle comes by, every once a year and he gives you a wad of cash and, "Oh, you're my favorite nephew." You know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool. You know what I'm
Listen,
saying? But
you're such a
yeah,
great team. We really love them there.
exactly. But was he parenting you during your tough thing? Did you learn anything about being
Mm.
better, about him just throwing the money at you, right? It comes I think it's fair. Listen, I can love the Phil regime as much as I want, but I've always said the biggest indictments, like I said, is that as far as like I said, the Halo Studios thing. And to me, actually still, even though Halo Studios is egregious, I still rank it. We'll say I rank it higher, but just as high, the initiative. Like you,
Yeah,
when
that's
you
just such a bad situation there, man. That's just
bro,
money. Like, do you like think about it? It was more productive to set your money on fire, all those hundreds of millions,
Bro, you brought
than to
in,
be like, let's make a
yeah,
game.
you brought in Daryl Gallagher and this whole A-list level. I ain't gonna use the word, the
Quadruple A?
quadruples.
Come
You know, so
on.
you brought this whole A-list of superstars to make a studio. You like, hey, let's go. This is an all-star lineup. You know what I mean? And it reminds me of I don't know how much you've watched Eagles fans, don't get mad, but it reminds me, I remember the Philly Eagles one year went all out on free agency. It was like Vince Young, Nnamdi Asomugha. They had all these superstars, people like the Dream Team or whatever it was called. And none of that panned out. And then they have to trade and got rid of everybody. And then it was a disaster of a season. It just felt.
Recent Mets collapse is another one.
Mets collapses. Mets have done that multiple times. So
just spending all that money though, and just nothing to show for it.
Remember the Jason Bays and this one and that one, and you like, oh, it's on. You know what I mean, kind of thing. And it just doesn't work from a cohesive standpoint. So yeah, you're just as guilty to me as that, and not being able to get that to work under your own house and you as a creative. So. Yeah, I think there is lessons to be learned on both. The too much creative freedom, taking advantage of a situation, right, without having an emergency plan or a backup plan in case the water gets turned off on you, all right? And then from a publisher standpoint, too lax, not cracking the whip, what's going on? We need goals and status checks. Hey, let's check in. Let's see what's going on. And making the tough decision to be like, nah, they're saying it. And I think that decision came way late. And it's just like, now we got to shut you down. It's like 6 years in, 7 years in, or whatever it's been, kind of thing.
Absolutely. Well said, sir. All right. Let's start wrapping this up, dude.
Yeah, man.
What a show. Oh man. I thought we had very little to talk about, but here we are. 3.5 hours in.
Here we are.
Well, how do you want to do the hashtag this time around? I mean, this is another tricky one,
it's a
if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've always felt like we have like crazy discussions with the earlier topics versus the May one. Not the May one was fire, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Or like, because I think we do Aftermath already, or we said I don't know last time.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. We talked a lot of 2010s here, the old days. Like, want to do like 2010s, DD? I know we haven't done that.
Give me enough thought process. You dig in 2010s from like, I'm trying to get.
We were talking Bethesda 2010s a lot.
Oh, okay. I see
that old style development, a lot of writing.
Yeah, like the old style development process. Yeah, like getting lean, smaller teams.
On our own. We talked Glen Schofield, Black Ops 1 and 2. I'm thinking 2010s.
I like that. I like that. I see where you're going. I just want to get the concept. I got you now.
It doesn't read as immediately like, oh, I know what that is.
Yeah, I got you now.
All right, so approved?
Yes, 2010.
All right, let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, you got this far into the episode. We appreciate you for hanging with us for so long. Thank you. We'll be back next week, every Thursday on patreon.com/laststandmedia. We'll be talking Halo Campaign Evolved then. So strap in. I'm sure it'll be a fun conversation. Otherwise, we will be live on Sundays on youtube.com/laststandmedia and your other podcast platforms. Otherwise, if you want to share that you finished this episode, the hashtag is 2010sDD. You can tag us on Twitter. I'm at G27status. Cog is at Lord Cognito. You can find us over there. If you don't want to go on social media, we do not blame you. Use the comment section down below. Filter a couple of people out who are going to tell us that we're defending Xbox endlessly. Just throw us a bone, would you? Hashtag 2010sDD. Give the other ones you see down there a like. Let's beat the algorithm this time. Please and thank you. Cog, that's all from me. Anything from you, or shall I round us out?
Another good one, man. Another one in the realm with the Dukes, man. You already know. A lot of fun.
All right. With that, guys, we will see you next week for episode 290. Until then, stay frosty and be safe. Peace out.
Peace.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.